Welcome back, everyone, to the Apex Karting Championships as we continue from the Southeast for the inaugural round in the history of this series. It's time for the pre-finals here on Kart Chaser. I'm Justin Pritz alongside Taylor Burris as we get set for the 206 portion of the schedule with the Briggs & Stratton engines ready to roll. We start things off with the Masters as they are up and into the tram lines now. Eric Megan up at the front of the field. Brad Davis in second. Troy Tony in third with Andrew in fourth. Todd Barron's the top five along with Anthony Harwin. Brent Bluen along with Paul Nycan along with Todd Davis and Drew Galloway the top 10. Zagaitis, Gilray, Williams, and Miller are the rest of your starters. The wind continues to gust, but the sun's out at least. We're underway for 9 laps plus about 9 minutes plus 2 laps of racing for your pre-finals as the pack makes its way down the back.
Single file for the most part as one driver tried to tuck out a line, guts back into line as the wind continues to blow. One kart goes around as they enter into the corner. That is the 499 of Nycan, who loops it around on that Charles Leclerc kart. Such a good run he was having in heat races yesterday. Unfortunate for him not to be able to continue on in today's action as we go back up to the front with Fagan, Davis, and Troy Tony looking to try to have some fun at the front of the field.
But some of the drivers to keep an eye on, especially in particular Tony, who's already up to second. Here's the big thing about Tony's case from earlier on in the weekend. Had to come for the back essentially after the qualifying session after an incident in said qualifying. Guess what? He drove from the back to near the front in both the heat races yesterday. So Tony's absolutely got a blistering fast kart. We know from the club level out in the Midwest around Indiana and the Ohio regions, he can perform. It's about can he get it done against one of the best when it comes to the 206 racing classes, though, in the Masters.
Absolutely. Eric Fagan has been one of the top talents in 206 Masters competition for many years now, and he is looking to try to showcase he's still got it. Troy Tony, though, looking to try to get to the inside with that new gen machine as he works his way out of the final corner. The gap is just about 3 to 4/10 of a second. Plenty of room to work with as they leave Brad Davis behind.
Remember, Fagan works with Todd Barron in particular, works as one of his mechanics, got hired earlier on in the year, as seen in the headlines in the karting world. And since then, as Luke Steller in particular picked up a CKA Grand Nationals Masters win just a couple months ago over in Indiana. Right now has the distance of a couple tenths of a second, but the rest of the pack starting to break into its respective packs. And the thing is, when it comes to this top of class, remember, Taylor, momentum is everything. With these engines, you have to find a way to maintain it, especially with your balance of the gears. And with some of these straight line speeds, it looks like, for now, Fagan's got a good ability to stretch things out for the straightaways at least, despite Tony's efforts in the draft.
Yeah, he's trying his best right now. I'm watching on to see they are still doing quite a bit of sliding right now, especially into turn number 1. You saw it there from both of your front runners. They're now lined up nose to stern as they try to work their way through. Tony thinks about it. You gotta be careful though right there. Fagan getting right on the curbing on the outside. Gotta be careful because that's still a little bit damp for the most part, I would have to say, seeing across the track. That could be a big mistake that could befall Fagan if he's not careful. He clips the grass right there.
Still no troubles though in keeping the race lead. And the thing about this community when it comes to the Briggs & Stratton engine 2 is it's very tight-knit. It's also one that could be one that gets uber competitive, Taylor, in particular. We've seen this with the Grand Nats, and you'll see this with some of the competitors. Eric Fagan a few years ago in an eKarting News article had mentioned, when he was asked why he runs this type of car, had said that 4-cycle racing is real racing. So there is a strong mindset from these drivers to be able to compete, and it's cost effective too to be able to get into in the first place.
It really is. It's that stepping stone for anyone to get involved with motorsports, the Briggs & Stratton engine package, 206 racing. I mean, if you think about it, it's a package that you can take to any kart track across the nation, even up into Canada, where you could test your might against some of the best at that local short kart track and have some great fun with it too.
Right now, you're keeping an eye on one of the air battles still. We referred to Todd Barron earlier. Well, he's looking pretty solid so far. Barron is competitive everywhere this season, especially with what he's done. The Barron Brothers Racing, Barrellart, able to get the job done to be able to move up to 4th. It's going to take a lot of battling, though, for Barron to close up this gap. Keep in mind, Barron, we've seen him have some good speed in 2025. The other packs. One of the drivers doing well, J. Brian Williams, up to 8th after having struggles all day yesterday. McGilvery at the back of the field, looking to try and find some Section 2 is working with Miller. So, once again, you'll see these groups really function together, but J. Brian Williams in particular has been a driver we've been waiting to see. When's he going to break out? When's he going to pop up on speed? Works, of course, with Tony, you can tell, with the driver's suit. It's been a struggle for J. Brian Williams, and today seems to be a bit of a turnaround for him, already in a battle for 7th with Zagaitis.
He certainly is, as we watch this battle further back, and as they come out of the back straightaway, and they're going to decide to go to the inside. You see another pass for position right in front of you. Ducks back in line. Will then go back to this positioning here around the 6th, 7th, 8th spot. And Zagaitis will work his way through as we keep an eye on the action amongst these competitors.
So as they work together here, 3 minutes to go up on the clock. Not too much time left to race with as here comes the 475, able to make the move. Williams again continues to progress with his passes. Things have steadied out, as you see usually sometimes in the Masters side of things, as there's not a steady moment there for Williams. He goes off the track. That kind of emphasizes what's been his weekend here, Taylor.
Yeah, it's been a very tough race for him so far, and I gotta say, for the multi-time winner and race champion in the 206 Masters and Legends division over at IKC, he definitely has been struggling this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be one that will have to go to the drawing board for the final at least after that mistake. One of the R. Davises, you see Tom Davis right on behind. Troy Tony, by the way, as we've looked away, it looks like he made a mistake maybe with some of the off tracks because Tony went from being within a 2.5 seconds of Fagan down to 3rd, 2.5 seconds back off kilter. Williams, from his mistake, also dropped down to 10th. So the big thing about this track, Taylor, is limiting mistakes, right? We're seeing some of them start to pile up here with a lot of drivers working to the dry grass. We were expecting things to get almost bone dry here this afternoon. And that's the thing we're seeing is a lot of these karts have been able to adapt to the colder temperatures with their setups.
They certainly have been, and been in some impressive runs indeed as well for our competitors in this stage of the race. Eric Fagan, I gotta say, has been really impressive in this race as we watched the battle with Todd Barron, another driver who we saw struggle yesterday in the heat races, finding that little bit extra to make sure he can have a shot of a good finish. Same thing with Andrew Root. He technically wasn't supposed to be racing this weekend at all, but due to the fact of some issues with Silas, that allows Andrew to get behind the wheel and putting on a stellar drive here today.
Drew, for reference, originally came over from Dayton, Ohio, now lives all the way in Mississippi in Long Beach. It's a long trek away from the Buckeye State to go to the Pelican State, or just outside of it to Mississippi. And these days, well, we've seen how competitive Root's been this weekend, a top 5 driver in all the races so far. But we're coming up now, 3 laps to go. Driver still in the 51-second bracket for the top 4 with Barron bearing down on running away from this pack. Barron, multiple times CKA self-champion for reference, and just as some of the accolades he's picked up as a driver. He's raced a long time. You look back to some of the routes, you can find some clips from back in the day, reach as far back as the 1970s. In fact, when you try and look back at what he's done, how about back when he raced in the International Karting Federation, raced in some of the Grand Nationals back then, and has some of the oldest clips you can look back to from the Americas for karting.
I mean, when you've been involved with karting for that long, you are an absolute legend of the sport, and it's incredible to still see him out there running with these actions that he's doing here today.
And while I'm not as well versed to, obviously, a kart from the 1970s, I can definitely say, just on the visual test, you're talking about karts being built much more differently. Big numbers at the front, no front nose cones, a lot more different architecture to today. Karts have transitioned a lot over the years to its modern look we've seen. And for many of these drivers, it's about harnessing the speed in these new karts. In some cases, where they've found them over the years from competitors. Pass made in the heart of the field once again. Guinness wants those watch you along as drivers like Davis, Williams, once those grouped together once again. Seguinus doing well. J. Brian Williams with that move for that pass, able to recover himself. Back a couple more spots here, coming up to the final lap already started.
Already some close action here as we watch on this front group of drivers in the closing stages. White flag in the air, and already Eric Fagan has been able to pull away as he enters the infield section of the circuit.
Fagan absolutely dominant, to say the very least here. Pulled away after Tony's mistake, hasn't allowed Brad Davis to chip away here. The gap going to end up somewhere around 2.5 seconds at least. But it's Fagan who starts off Sunday with all the momentum. Picks up some big points to add to his tally. Your pre-final goes to Eric Fagan over Brad Davis and Troy Toney. Toney going to see how he's able to keep up with the draft in the final. But Todd Barron and Andrew Root also get up in the top 5 here, Taylor. Solid race for the 404.
Absolutely a solid race indeed, and I'm excited to see how it will all play out for our competitors when we get set to go racing for the feature race today. It's going to be an exciting one for sure.
So it's Fagan, Davis, Toney, Barron, and Root. The Guidus in 6. J. Brian Williams, it looks like, had more troubles after making some initial pass backs. Down to 9th behind McGilvery and Todd Davis. Chad Miller gets to the top 10 at the very end of this one. Harwin, Lewitt along with Galloway, and you have issues for Nikan in this one. He falls down to 14th, doesn't even get to turn a lap as a result of what happened to the 499. One race down, 4 to go. When it comes to your pre-finals here, it's expected to be a much quicker turnaround this afternoon. They closed up the schedule by a couple minutes per race with the extra load this afternoon compared to the morning sessions. And keep in mind when it comes to your Briggs Micros, Spencer Height, family made it clear. I emphasized this a bit earlier, but it's important to mention today. They made it clear that he feels good about his speed and would love to keep it today in the 206. He ran away by 10 seconds over the course of about 7-10 minutes, give or take, once you add up all the laps. Height knows how to fly away.
He certainly does. I mean, he already picked up, even though he was the only competitor in the mini micro division we saw earlier this morning, he still had some pretty good pace in that category. At one point, was up into the top 5 during his pre-final event. So looking forward to seeing what he can do here today as he loops it around on the start.
And
well
a wild start to this one. That's not how you expect things to go, but I think there's enough time to recover here.
Yeah, there is enough time.
So right now, Height, see if he's able to retake the spot here or not. Obviously, going to start things off if he can't get up there in the pole. Nicholas McCarthy was to be second. Knives in third spot with Maddox there. Then it's Landon and Ashton Pete will start in 4th and 5th. Chandler Babin in 6th. And we have an air spinner. There goes Ashton Pete. Another one having some bobbles here, and it looks like Height is retaking their spot, and it looks like, despite the slides heating up the tires here, Taylor, everybody's in position.
Looks like that's going to be a good start for everyone. Everyone will be lined up, nose to tail, and set to go here for the next few minutes of racing action, and hopefully we won't have any other spins. Hopefully all that, the pre-race jitters, get themselves ready to go, and it'll be good for the action here today between our 206 micro competitors.
Let's go up to the tram lines. This side wind coming down the front straightaway. Pretty hectic. Height clears already into 1 off the launch. They'll make their way on through to the back straightaway. He's already jumping up to the 2nd spot. And keep in mind, the 223, mighty competitive this weekend when it comes to the battle for 2nd with McCarthy. No runaway like we've seen in yesterday's heat starts by a few tenths of a second. This time, the 223 remains in the draft, although they just missed part of the apex in the S's. That grows the gap by 4 kart lengths.
Yeah, right now it's trying to settle in here, make sure we don't lose our race leader here, as both Height and McCarthy and Knives are working their way through, and Height is still going to maintain the race lead, but watch out right here because McCarthy and Knives are really working well on this opening lap. The question is going to be, can they maintain it and hold on to this kart for the next 9 minutes plus 2 laps?
Landon Pete and Chandler Babin falling down the order. Keep in mind, cold tires, longer session. That's going to be a major thing to factor in with some of the bobbles here. So it's going to take a few laps, as you would expect, Taylor, to get up to that optimal window here, to be able to get up there. And obviously those tire pressures in turn are going to be a little bit different to make sure you get that window optimized for a 20-degree temperature swing like it is today.
Exactly, and that's the biggest, another big issue is having the right tire pressure settings for this colder weather that we have. So it's going to take a little bit longer, if you think about it, to warm up these tires compared to what we saw yesterday with the warmer temperatures.
Indeed. So as we zip along here, one of the major things to keep an eye on is going to be how the Pete's fare out. We mentioned some of the local connections yesterday in terms of them. Spoke a bit with the Pete family when it comes to some of the social media and mentioned that they had been trying to work and watch along with the weather conditions. We're looking to take advantage as a team of these dry conditions this afternoon. The main thing they noted, though, was the rubber buildup. We were talking about this as a crew earlier this morning, and just because of where the puddles are, it's basically been a green racetrack throughout the day. And the rubber helps you be able to stick with the grip, because as these tires turn laps here, Taylor, they plant down that rubber around the circuit. You'll see the grooves pick up around the circuit. There aren't really those at all even sticking right now, per se, in a lot of these areas. It's not like yesterday where we've seen definitive black marks to allow yourself to grip up in the first place and get that bite in some of these corners here.
Trouble for one driver. That's one of the machines right there stuck. That is the 210 machine of Aston Pete, who is now out of it with his Esprit machine. A tough break, looking over the engine, and they can say his day is done.
Yeah. It's still running, trying to get the gloves back on at least. And it looks like one of the crew members will make sure they're okay. See, just trying to press the gas and the cart's not going despite the engine going. Might be with the throttle cable, but only a few minutes down here. And this is a change of pace at least. We're seeing for some of the drivers a little bit of dirt kicked up for Babin as they were gaining a lot of ground there on Landon Petrie for position. That kart dug into the ground. What else can you say other than, my goodness, there? That was a bit of a dirt clump picked up there with how much speed was carried out there. Babin going to have to work again to close up that ground, because before that point, Babin was running 55.2s to close up that gap in the first place to the 57.8 to start things off for the 226.
Yeah, he was really flying right there, so there must be something else going on with Landon Petrie as he has to try to find his way through. But back to Ashton Petrie, we got some information. It could possibly be an issue with the clutch as well, hence why the engine was still running, even though that clutch, sometimes a pin could come out of there and prevent the kart from not continuing on. So a tough break for one of our drivers who was inside the top four quite a bit yesterday in the heat races.
All this is wow. Spencer Height started to extend the gap, was about to say that Knives had been keeping things close in terms of that pack. They've separated by 3.4 seconds so far. And I think it's important to say when we touch upon things with the track like this, it's important to be able to learn and get the chance to sense development. We talked about the big jump in the K8 chassis, going from a mini or micro up to a junior. For these drivers, again, Taylor, we've emphasized a fair bit because for a lot of these drivers, they are your next generation. They are your next competitors who in 5-10 years may very well be the ones we see at the national level competing in the seniors for podiums and race victories. It takes so much effort in general to move up to the ladder, but you have to be able to get performances like this put through. Height in particular has looked stellar on his drive for reference. What we've seen from Height in CKA competition and as well in their local karting challenge over in Trackhouse.
Absolutely, and it's incredible to see how it all plays out for him, of how he's been able to take in the information. That's one of the biggest things, is when you work with these young kids, is make sure that they take in the information, utilize it, and apply it to help get these great runs that we're seeing here today. And we're going to continue to see that for some of these young superstars as they progress through the rankings of motorsports and in karting world especially, to where we could see them go up against some of the biggest names down the road.
Key of success is development, and more development. Right now, Height putting all his might here to continue to grow this gap. We'll see how big it is by the very end of this one. Again, the long run has been pivotal in this kart. Nicholas McCarthy, by the way, still holds on to third spot dimension with them as well. It's been an interesting one for McCarthy in terms of some of the battles there we've seen this weekend, to say the very least. But here's the equivalent to when it comes to moving up to for some of the drivers too, when you go up from a kid kart to say a 206 micro, that's a cadet for two CKAs for those who want you on for that side. The rev limiter difference is big, and then it goes up from the 206 micro to the senior. You're talking about a variety of throttle slides. The throttle slides, essentially, remember, Taylor, is that limit on how much you can have the max throttle. For example, a micro has a very big limit. If you're a senior, you're at 100% throttle. So you have that slide that impacts how much you can actually push down and use all those revs in the kart as you go up to the ranks. And the higher you move up the levels, the more throttle input, in theory, you can put down on the slide with the slide to be able to build more speed.
And it's all that process of learning it, and it's why they have that implemented, so that way these drivers don't just go full bore. It shows that they can learn, understand the importance of it, throttle control as well. I mean, you don't want to just send any, a young kid out there with 100% full throttle on these karts, because it's still a very, it can still be a dangerous sport. We've seen time and time again that young kids get involved in certain incidents around these tracks, and you've got to be careful. And so teaching them the importance of that is critical, and that's why they have this progress in place to help them.
Exactly. Right now, for reference, 53-second lap times for these drivers. We've seen some of the air classes go around the 52nd to 49 seconds. The 206 is the high end on that. So as they go along here, we're coming up to what is going to be 2 laps to go. Height. Still setting personal bests around here, 52.6s. Just continuing to build up the tire temps and continues to build momentum into the kart. I think for Height, still going to be good for the points tallies, to say the very least, with the championship in terms of the micro side, to get the sweep. McCarthy and Knives, though, are going to be an interesting battle for the championship, Taylor, because McCarthy, remember, has the technical advantage by 2 points right now over the 223. Obviously, that's about to switch as a result of this pre-final.
It really is, and the question is going to be, what can both Nicholas McCarthy and Maddox Neves learn from this experience of what they need to do? As there is McCarthy, that's going to be the biggest one, trying to keep it on the pavement, not looping it around, as he will rejoin the track, but it's going to swing multiple different ways throughout the season between those two. A great championship fight, I have to say, that we'll see with Neves and McCarthy.
Yeah, he was pushing hard on that lap, 4/10 faster than Knives previously. Coming up to the final lap, this time for Spencer Height. Height. Oh no! Uh-oh. Height dropped the tire off the edge of the right side curbing. Height able to get back into it and put the throttle down. The gap was significant, was 12 seconds before. Height still getting back up to speed, as Knives still is back by about a quarter, if not a third of a straightaway. So a bit of a scare.
It was a bit of a scare indeed, but due to the fact of just how large of a race lead that he has, he was able to make that mistake and still hold on to the race lead. It's good that he had it, but also got to be careful with doing that later on in the finals. You don't want to make mistakes.
That's got to be near similar to what McCarthy just did, you'd have to think. But for Spencer Height, it doesn't matter. Still holds on to the win. Gets himself the pre-final of the micros. The gap going to be the lowest it's been of the weekend. 4 seconds because of that last lap spin. A spin and win for the 231. McCarthy spins and still holds on to the top 3 for the effort also. Landon P.
2 spins and a win.
Final finishers. I mean, is it even a 2 spins and a win if 2 different karts get the spin?
Well, no, I was talking about he spun on basically on the pace lap, and then he spun on the last lap.
Great point.
He kind of bookends it a little bit.
Well, he's got a 4-second advantage over Knives. McCarthy, Pete, Babin, and Pete, the rest of the lineup, Landon and Ashton, were 4th and 6th respectively. 2:10 finish, 10 laps down. We'll take a step aside. 2 of our pre-finals complete. We continue on in just a moment. You're watching Kart Chaser.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
We told you they're working quick today. The next group is already set to go, as next up is the middle group for our pre-finals, the Briggs Seniors. Henry Wheeler, he'll be trying to finish out well on the day after in earlier today's action. He Ended up actually picking up a 5-second penalty for avoidable contact in the KA senior race. He's on the pole alongside Cameron Reed. James Overbeck starts off in third. Yanutsi, Getz, and Miller, the top 6. Sherrick, Schwalm, Kuzilo will start in 9th. Kelly in 10. Nunez, McDonough, Brazier, along with Kiefer and St. Clair. And the rest of your drivers in this pack. So we get set for what should be some fierce racing. This pack yesterday, in heat number 2 especially, was very feisty. They're ready to go to battle here. Green, green, green. We're underway. Wheeler gets clear. Overbeck trying to do the same. Elects to go on and stay in third for now in the line. Let's see. He falls back because Getz able to get to 4th from the bottom line in the choo-choo train.
How about this? I talked to Cameron Reed a little bit last night with regards to everything that was going on for her, and she said she tried her best to keep her head smart, to understand what was going on. She tried a few different things on that last corner where she almost ended up winning, but unfortunately just missed out on that opportunity. She has a good idea of where she needs to be and how to set that cart up to make sure she can have a shot of winning one of these, if not going to win the finals today.
And it happened with a last lap pass in both the races yesterday.
It did.
With Wheeler,
it really
too.
did.
That's the amazing thing. Was able to time it up on the outside for one race, went on the inside for the other. So the 908 is locked in on being able to make these types of moves in a very tough part of the racetrack to make some of the passes. Looking along and seeing some of the drivers as they zip along. There were some of the owners we talked with, a part of the Kart Chaser group, throughout the weekend so far, about how to handle the layout for this track. Why don't we take a quick listen? Some of those thoughts there as we are early in the 206 Seniors. For that one. Apologies once again as we continue on once again with these drivers as they go along. Wheeler still with the advantage, but this pack's starting to splinter out a little bit. And the thing to remember with this is the more they battle in front
my name's
of some of
Bobby
those groups,
Krug, owner of Bobby Krug Racing Services. We've been a team operating at
see one of the Bobby Krug machines and Miller there specifically grouped up there. As for these drivers right now, it's about making sure you figure out ways to be able to close up here in the packs. Remember, Wheeler and Reed seem pretty in sync in their small group.
They certainly are, and we touched on quite a bit of how well Henry Wheeler has been able to pull some amazing passes. But the question is, he's already showed his hand a couple of times on some passes that he is capable of doing. What can he do now to try to throw off the rest of the competition, like with Cameron Reed or with James Overbeck? He's doing what he needs to do right now by just holding the lead. Cameron's not going to push the envelope. She's someone who's going to wait till later on in the session to really then make that move, unless she gets a good run on this back straightaway. Overbeck's got to have a little bit of help as well, with Yanuzzi and Get trying to close up with him to help make that charge. But still, a lot is on the table to keep an eye with Cameron Reed as well as Henry Wheeler.
Yes, indeed. So, as we continue on with the drivers here, take a look as some of the others stay in line. It looks like someone at the back of the field causing some sprint arounds. But for James Overbeck, we'll see if the math of numbers works out here. You know what I mean? In terms of having more karts to be able to stay in a group. We've seen yesterday that whole gaggle of karts was able to gain a lot of ground for the race lead and mow time down. They are right now with the karts behind, picking up decent time in the 5s. Wheeler and Reed, though, are still in the flats. That's the tough thing. So Overbeck is a good lead car possibly to work with.
He certainly is. I mean, you're talking about one of the top talents in karting right now with Overbeck. I gotta say, if I was Januzzi or Get, that is the driver I would want to try to learn as much as possible, as well as stay with him, because I know he would take me, in a sense, to the promised land by going up against those top 2 ahead of him.
Yep, and for now, Januzzi. Is he just checking on something on the rear end also? Getz stays in the popcorn seat. Levi Getz continues to think about a way to see if they can find a way to close up. Has been in a karting scene for a couple of years. One of the CKA Northeast drivers at pack. There's a look at Miller and McDonough. McDonough's actually up 5. Make it 6. Just about actually got to 6, in fact. The 932's been cutting.
He certainly has been. Incredible pace that we're seeing by McDonough, and makes you wonder if he's able to get around Miller. It's going to be a better starting positioning for him in the feature race later on this afternoon, and telling what he can accomplish when he has some more time and a better starting position on his side as he tries to work now with Miller to close up to Getz, Januzzi, and Overbeck.
This has been a challenge here today, it seems, at least in the afternoon. It's a bit more spread out compared to yesterday, where it was a whole slot car like Daytona-style pack. A lot of these drivers having the hard time of being able to close up these gaggles, with it splintering more like a KA race in terms of the pack so far here this afternoon. So what's the approach now at this point if you're in some of these packs to be able to get this to work here, Taylor? We're seeing the efforts they're putting in.
Well, I mean, trying to find your partner and see how much time you can gain on your competitors. It's something to keep in the back burner as well. If you're working with your teammate, like we're seeing right here with 2 of the Bobby Krug machines, they are working their way and trying to work together. And now, as unfortunately one driver will fall off the pace there in that grouping, but you see how much time is being gained with the drivers of McDonough and Miller. They have started to close in on Getz and then also on Januzzi and Overbeck. So when you're focusing like that, working together, not worrying about battling, but trying to focus on the competition, you'll be able to make up that time you need. And that's something to keep in mind when we go to the feature race. Don't battle too much, work with someone, keep close in the lead draft. That could be a big help to where it can help you get to a top 3, a top 2, or even the win if you don't battle with each other. Yes, I understand passing for position is critical and wanting to move up to the next position, but you also got to think big picture as well.
That's the critical thing, is scoring all the points you can with this championship, especially since, remember, it's only 3 races. It sounds like only, but here's the thing. You're talking about 4 races essentially per round. 2 heats, a pre-final, and a final that all get weighed into the category. So you're talking about a lot of track time to be able to score as many points as possible, where it's 50, 50, 100, and then of course the final, which that final total, by the way, is 200. So a lot of points are at stake for the chance for a championship over the course of each weekend.
It really is, and that's why every position counts, but also why in these kind of cases, as we see pretty much the entire from 3rd to about 8th position all lined up, and now they're going to try to work their way and put Overbeck in a bad position. He's going to drop back all the way outside the top 5, and now he's going to have a little bit of work to do. Does he have a dance partner that is willing to work with him to try at least get up to back to 3rd before this is all said and done?
Look at this gaggle all grouped together, yes. Elbows coming out right now on Miller. Miller gets shuffled back as a result. McDonough, who was looking good when it was all spread apart, Not so much now. These drivers 4 seconds back. Inuzi leading off in this group. Overbeck getting swallowed up and losing momentum. By the way, Wheeler still with about a lap and a half to go. That's how quickly this race has gone by, Taylor. They have been zipping, and the 49s, we talked about that speed differential between a micro and the mini. He's putting a bit of a gap on Reed with the separation. Past couple laps, Wheeler's been running as fast as the 3s, has only gone into the 9s once. Reed has been running in the 9s the past couple, including a couple high 8s.
Yeah, they both ran their fastest lap of the previous lap and now have quite a bit of work to do as they come to take the white flag. Cameron Reed's got to dig a little deeper if she wants to have to try the chance to win this pre-final. But right now, as they come into the first couple of corners, it's not going to work out. She's not close enough to get that big pull down the back straightaway.
Now look at this, though, in the battle of the big gaggle of karts. Overbeck amongst those, getting a little bit aggressive. Let's see. Gets himself shuffled about. Now back into the lineup as they get single file. All of this is while Wheeler and Reed are looking to finish out their race. Still not done for third, potentially, with one more chance for them to go for a ascent. Checker flag going to come out now for Henry Wheeler. Wheeler doesn't need a last lap pass this time. Wheeler instead leads flag to flag. Gets the pre-final. Reed second, Inuzi holds on to third. Jackson Miller does take a top 5 over Levi Getz. McDonough up 6, Taylor, in the top 6.
Impressive run for McDonough and a prize situation for Overbeck. I think it's safe to say everyone inside that top 5 realizes Overbeck is one of the hard challengers that they're going to have to face. Might as well try their best to not work with him if they can't reach your top 2.
Let things breathe for a moment here as we're about 3 sessions through. When it comes to your pre-finals, up next, the micros. 206 Minis are now on the racetrack as we get ready for the Minis to be able to sort things out for their pre-final. It's Camelia Canache. She'll start on the pole alongside Mikey Todd. Then it's Bo Stowers alongside Ruben Greer. Liam 4, Robert No, Ryder Thompson, Colin Miller, Parker Firestein rounds out the entry list for this one. We're underway for the Minis and off the track already. No ends up saving it as they make their way to the back straightaway. No to the back of the pack. Canache tries to defend hard to the inside.
Canache now will lead the charge here with Stowers in second place. Mikey Todd will drop back to P3 for the time being in his CRG machine as they will settle in for a run, and we see Greer already trying to put the pressure on Mikey Todd, looking to try and get third spot away, but now looks to the inside, shows the nose, gets back into position, and we'll set away here for this opening run. Great run, though, for Canache to lead on the opening lap as her and Todd will try to work their way through. Stowers will give a little bit of a push as they move all over the racetrack to try to hold on and get the run they need.
All of them working their way around in the midst of the Hornet's Nest. The 104.4 amongst those trying to set up. Look at some of the offset, though. 3 wide for the race lead. Greer zips around them both up on the front. Stowers gets shuffled down to third with the pass. Greer looking to do business. We've seen Ruben Greer do well yesterday for good measure, and we're seeing it here today. Ruben Greer was the driver who picked up the Mini and Micro pre-final win earlier in the KA engine package.
Absolutely, and Ruben Greer is looking to try and see if he can have a shot of winning in his respective class as he tries to look through. Stowers will move Canache back, and now it is a Hornet's Nest from second on back as they work their way through into turn number 1. How about Liam 4 now trying to get into position?
No 4 looking to get a good golf swing down. That will send him a line drive up to the front. How about Stowers? Getting a deep run to the inside. Able to take it away for the point once again. And that's the one thing yesterday in these heat races for the Minis. They were willing to go back and forth and fought pretty hard here. Especially at this part. A lot of opportunities for cuts. Big slide of the rear tires to be able to get it to rotate to plant. They continue to shuffle like a deck of cards up at the front here, especially with Greer leading them off still.
Look at Greer of how much moving he is trying to do to try to break the draft as best that he can. Liam 4 looking to keep pace with her as Canache moves back into third. It's almost like you kind of see this quite a bit. We've been seeing it all weekend. Drivers just sidewinding, especially here on this back straightaway, trying to their best to either get a draft or break the draft from their competitors. And we're really starting to see it kick into overdrive in this 206 mini class.
Now, when it comes to the keys of driving around here, we got a couple opportunities to speak with some of the team owners with that over the weekend. Aiken Racing was one of the organizations that we've got the chance to speak with. Let's take a listen. What are some of the keys to do well here?
Talk to me about this weekend and the driver contingent you have, and overall from the track layout that we're running, what are some of the key things you're working on with your guys?
Honestly, the biggest thing here with this track is speed, just rolling the speed and the gearing and straightaway. So, a lot of it's being smart, kart placement, stuff like that. A lot of my drivers are adapting really well. I know we've got really great pace with Sam Avrutsky that is running with us in K Senior. My driver Harrison, he's doing really awesome as well. It's one of his first few races in KA, and he's really kicking butt. So I'm proud of Jet as well. He's doing really well, and Nico, he's starting with junior with us after only a few races. So all of those drivers, along with Anthony and Robbie and Colin, they're all doing fantastic and just learning. Some of my drivers, this is a great opportunity to get into a national level standpoint when they've only been in karts for a few months. Like Robbie and Colin, they just got into the karts like 2-3 months ago, and they're loving the environment and the series. And even though it's only our first day, everyone seems to be really digging it. So.
Aiken Racing has a few drivers coming up in some of the races here in particular, the next class coming up also. The reason it's relevant is it's such a fast-paced track, as you mentioned, and we've seen how important it's been to carry that momentum, especially in the 206s this weekend.
Absolutely, and the speed and momentum is what will help you get that run that you need and those great finishes as we watch on here. Coming on just under 4 minutes to go, and Greer, oh, big off right there. He really went super wide, hit the grass a little bit. That brings Liam Ford back into the hunt as he tries to find his opening to take over the race lead.
Under 4 minutes to work with in that one, but looking at how things get shuffled here, Stower's losing ground. 4 seems to be willing to work here. One of the new gen karts. And we know new gen is one of the bigger contingencies as a team in the garage. In particular, we've seen them try and work themselves smoothly as a unit in the races. Known at the club level for doing really well in the Midwest, and 4 is doing a good job being able to help distance themselves. Last time by, they were only a couple tenths slower than those behind, but that has obviously picked up to 6 tenths this time.
Certainly has, as they work their way through. More, a couple of other drivers jockeying around for position, going off the track, but we'll continue on as Stowers is looking to pull away. Todd, Kanache, and Thompson, who is going to push Kanache ahead of Mikey Todd to move them up a couple of positions. And now tries to see if they can close the gap. They have quite a bit of work to do. They are setting some good pace. In fact, last time by, Kanache was almost identical to Ruben Greer as far as lap times around the circuit.
And the big thing about this for Todd is Todd's going to want spots, not just for the points here, but the big thing for that orange and black card is, in terms of speed, to try and close up. They don't like starting on the outside. As, hold on, Kanache nearly rode into the grass again, rode the edge of the curbing, checked up Thompson, both of them lucky to avoid contact.
They certainly did, but they are able to continue on, and great drive there for all of our competitors as they work their way through and get themselves going.
Yes, indeed. So now, I was about to say with Todd, they're happy with speed, but the thing has been about the starting position from the outside, right? We've seen the challenge of this outside line on these restarts. For the final, if the 199, for example, was to keep this spot, they'd be on the outside again. And we've seen if you're on that outside, you just lose a spot or two automatically here. So Todd looks like he's got the urgency to at least think about, okay, this is for 5th. Looks like he's going to try and get the slipstream built up here to get a chance at the top 5. Oh, passing by Kanache with the help of Thompson.
Kanache gets a good push, starts to work with Mikey Todd as they try to make that run through here. And I got to say, this is a good pass right here that we could see set up for our competitors. Kanache looks to the inside of Mikey Todd as they nearly bang wheels, and we'll go side by side into the final corner with 30 seconds to go. Mikey Todd hits a little bit of that water puddle right there on the entry, able to keep it straight and narrow, as we saw right there. Thompson goes a little wide.
Still not done with Todd, as Todd didn't like the pass back. Kanache a little bit close there. She's able to make the move once again. By the way, we're coming up to 2 laps to go. Again, a quick race with the top 2 pulled away, and Liam Ford, as said before, when speaking to that driver up in second in Wisconsin, the big thing to me from him was, and for a lot of these drivers, you don't like finishing second and third in a lot of different races. For drivers like Kanache, you definitely don't like finishing 6th. That competitive spirit to get the passes is always there in the first place, Taylor. And for some of these drivers, it is definitely in a good spot if you're in particular in a battle like Thompson to be able to get your best finish. There's a lot of drive to get the best finish. Hold on, Thompson goes off the track, it doesn't matter.
And you can see the frustration right there by Thompson. He is not happy about that, as he will drop all the way outside of the top 5. He was looking at a podium finish right there. Unfortunately, now has to regroup and try again.
Yikes is all I can really say. Commentators curse strikes when talking about good runs for drivers, and well, let's see what happens this time. Liam 4 in second. Been wanting for so long. Get a win. Get to first place. Get the job done. At the regional level, has been running in a Tony Kart. Set a pole sitter award actually as a Micro Swift driver in the battle for the Route 66 Sprint Series Championship. But on this final lap, 4 looking to see if there's enough to be able to get a run. Still a couple kart lanes back. 4 trying it. Goes high side. Now looks for a cut. Can't get the diamond line down. One more opportunity. It's going to come down to a good run through the S's. It's Greer in front. Greer, he's been willing to take it sharply to the inside. He knows that move. Takes away that potential move. 4 tries to build up the run for the dog leg to the final corner. Greer hugs it down, exits the corner. Checker flag. Greer holds off 4. 4 does take one last leap, but it's not enough. Stowers gets the top 3 as well, Taylor.
Certainly a great run right there by Greer in 4. I gotta say, Liam 4 may have some. Look at that. The camaraderie between the two. They know they put on a great show for us here today.
Great race and a great battle for Ruben Greer. Liam 4 in second. Stowers in third. Ganache, Todd, Thompson, Firestone, No, and Miller are the 9 drivers who competed in this one. And how they're lined up. We have one more pre-final to go. We'll see how things break down in just a moment. You're watching Kart Chaser.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Join us for the biggest kart racing convention of the year, the 40th OVKA Kart Racing Trade Show and Swap Meet, Saturday, January 24th, Roberts Center, Wilmington, Ohio. Whether you're into sprint karting, dirt and oval racing, road racing, unlimiteds, or vintage karting, there are deals here for you. Shop our 60,000 square foot show floor, filled with the karts, parts, and supplies you need. Network with kart racers of all disciplines from across the country. Get insights from experts at our performance seminars. Visit our Intro to Kart Racing open house to get started in racing. Visit OVKA.com. Vendor registration is now open. OVKA.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the action. And it's been intense this afternoon. Once again, it's time for a timer warming session. After all, it's time for the Briggs Juniors to hit the track. Holden Harder, he put together a phenomenal finish in Heat 2 yesterday. Starts on the pole with a perfect grade in the heat races. Tyrone Kemper Jr. second. Dragunov in third. Midor in 4th. Brzezinski in the top 5. Mole, Cataldo, along with Cooper Mole in the 8th spot. Jet Price in 9th. Alexander Clemens in 10th. Max Hudman, Siva Kumar, Corpita, Lehans, and Coin are the 15 drivers in this one. Remember, that second heat race was a banger of a finish. I thought at the line when making that call yesterday, Taylor, that it was Kemper Jr. It was that close at the margin with the timing beacon.
It really was. Now the question is going to be, could we see a repeat of that? I have to say, out of all of our categories, we've had both junior classes have put on stellar racing events here this weekend at NOLA, and looking forward to seeing it wrap up here today.
So let's find out how aggressive they're willing to get here. What's been a banger of a weekend so far. Give credit to Harder. He's keeping this very slow and tightly knit for this start. It's his pace to dictate. And this is almost going to become a standing start at this point. They might get zoomed on by one of the rental carts here. Here we go, up to the start zone. Now they're picking up the pace. Kemper Jr. stares intently. Harder hits the gas, nearly goes into Kemper Jr. and gets himself clear as Kemper Jr.'s off again. Kemper Jr. again has to go on a recovery drive this weekend.
He has got to be wishing he had the inside lane, because that outside lane has been detrimental for him each and every single race that he's competed in this 206 junior race. So he now has to fight his way through. He's got more time as one other driver goes off the track. Trying to get the number off. That one's the 815 machine of Price is out.
Yep, Price showed flashes of good brilliance yesterday and some of the aggression popped out. We do have a couple different of the pre-final results to quickly update you. Remember the Masters run? Andrew Root, Drew Galloway, and Chad Miller all picked up 5-second penalties in the Masters race. So that'll see them all towards the middle to backpack in the respective running orders. As well, every other one except for one other got cleared through. Light on the skills for Nunez. Speaking of light through the grass, how about Leighton Mole cutting his way on through? That will cost one of the moles more time yet again, as so far Kemper Jr. down 7, and a couple others adding to those big losses.
I gotta say, I'm impressed with Dragunov here today, hit with the new gen machine. As we watch a little further back in this grouping, this is right around the top 4. Dragunov and Harder switching back and forth. Brzezinski also on a bit of a tear with a strong performance here in this race. Remember, yesterday we saw him make methodical runs to where he had a chance of a top 5 finish in heat race number 2, and looking to try and see if he can improve upon that here in the pre-final.
Kemper Jr. rebounding to 8th. Dragunov, 7 should say. That's how quickly Kemper Jr. is getting to work on his recovery. He's actually that lead car in the 3rd pack, you can call it. If you can call it that middle one, a group. But we'll say, when it comes to Kemper Jr., you gotta love the drive. He's been aggressive in some of the battles here this weekend, here, Taylor. But we've seen him recover in this same kart this weekend already when it comes to the 206 chassis. He went off track in one of the early heat races yesterday, cut on through, went to last, came on back, still put together a solid finish. How far did he get in heat 1 for reference? He was able to still get himself a decent position in the very end of that one. That seen him up to 2nd, only a couple tenths back in that heat race alone. So he was in contention by the very end after some of the drives we've seen to the grass.
Big slide right there by Dragunov. You saw him just wheeling right there out of the first couple of corners. He's got to be careful with how much he's sliding those tires around this circuit, because he condensed everyone right there back together, with Harder trying to push the envelope just a little bit. And then now Rosinski goes on the defense to keep Midor behind him in this stage of the race, as those 4 really try to push the envelope. Got to be careful though. One mistake and that can bring everybody else in here. And here comes a couple of more of Cataldo and Hudman right there in the top 5.
Mind you, with Hudman, gave his praise a bit yesterday when it came to his performance. Still pack just ahead of the grouping you see here on the packs with Hudman. One of the drivers that coming into this weekend had been a part of those who just got into 206 racing in September. So for, contact into the grass, pickup of the ground, that lifts off the blue machine. Some big troubles there off in the grass that seems to be getting more and more prominent here. Off tracks are popping up like wild.
Popping up left and right here for a lot of off tracks in today's action. I have to say we've seen more of that today than we did yesterday in all of our categories, as drivers are giving little hand signals here between Dragunov and Harder. And now it is back to a two-horse race as Tyrone Kemper Jr. still sits P7. And he's got quite a bit of work to do. Still 5 seconds behind your top leaders.
This pack splintered apart yet again. This has just been the nature of how this has gone, as see Lane and Mull working together here. Mull actually set the fastest lap time last time by after some of the off-track excursions. Mull Racing Machine, brothers with Cooper, of course. They've been making their way up to the age ranks in recent time. From the Indiana region as well, we've seen them be pretty solid in the club scene also. Made the rounds in social media after some 5-car battles in some of the junior action over the summertime alone over at MCC Cincinnati. As Layden Ball with that on point, gets dropped on back just as you look away. It's a plummet. Speaking of up ahead, some more side-by-side popping up here in this sequence, and another one off track. Bit of tire-to-tire contact nearly maybe, as that was up against the curbing. And that is another one on the right side curbing, getting picked up as Kemper Jr. passes by some more drivers in the heart of the form. That is Meador also up there, who's down to the tail end of this big gaggle of karts in the pack.
Trying to watch on here and see. Thought I saw a loose bumper off one of these drivers right here in this grouping here. That's probably one of the lap cars of Coyne in the 829. So a tough break for him as we watch them work through the lap traffic quickly. Cataldo and Rosinski now try to get around. They're going to work their way through and open the door for Tyrone Kemper Jr. to pick up those spots and move up to P3 with 2.5 minutes to go.
2.5 minutes to work with on the clock is the key here to be able to try and sort things. Logan Coyne, by the way, one of those orange cards in the pack. That's where a bit of confusion may have came into play there. 3 black flags, by the way, for the 829 card have popped up so far for Coyne. Right now, Mull still trying to work ahead to find some closed up gap. You have Toto up there. Brzezinski doing well as well in this race. Bit of a bobble for the 825. It's going to see the wiggles once again for them. With only a couple minutes to work with, though, where do you go in the drawing order? Where do you try and adjust for things for this final if you're some of these teams, knowing the gap between the leaders for the main pack is already 5.6 seconds?
Well, for a driver like Tyrone Kemper Jr. and Leighton Mull, I would start trying to see how far you can push it to try and close that gap here, because that's going to be helpful for you to learn and put in your back pocket of when you know for a fact you can have that pace and where you stack up against Dragunov and Harder. And I know Tyrone's going to try to push it a little bit to close this gap, even with about 3 laps to go.
So, Brzezinski amongst those that just got shuffled. Take a look towards the front where the leaders in all of this, what's been a really spread apart tandem draft race, nothing like Daytona style. Dragunov and Harder have run away. Kemper Jr., what did I say about recovery drives? He's done it again. Leighton Mull, by the way, notice with this, he is 4 laps down. Apologies there on my part there, but still assisting Kemper Jr. at the very least in the situation for the 825, at least trying to help somebody here with their own circumstances. Don't think Kemper Jr. is going to get there, but Kemper Jr. is going to be definitely a threat if he's got the inside line to try and battle for the race lead immediately in the final.
Well, you got to remember, he is still in position, Justin. He's being hand-scored right now, so he is in contention. He technically is in 4th place, and they are starting to pick up the pace a little bit. They just set their fastest laps of the race, but the problem is they lost quite a bit of time. They're still about 6 seconds, so haven't been able to really make up time.
Transponder issue, apologies. Just got the confirmation there on that. So, for Leighton Mull, he is up here in position. Apologies there. So either way, still a chance to work together here in the top 4. Coming up to 2 laps to go. 2 laps to work with in this one for a final pre-final of the afternoon before we move over to the finals. Dragunov has lost the lead to Harder here, Taylor.
He certainly did, and now we're going to see what Holden Harder can do as he will now lead the charge down the back straightaway. Dragunov thought that is just sticking glued to his back bumper. He's not showing his cards just yet. He wants to wait till the last opportune time to take home the win here in the pre-final as he tries to work his way through. He'll look to the outside briefly as they head into the corner and work through the infield section.
Will there be a pass attempt on the final lap between these two? Dragunov taking the higher groove. Gets the diamond line down, heads up through the kink, up to the dog leg. Now thought about a lunge to the final corner, doesn't take it yet. Harder takes the white flag this time by, looking to stay perfect as Harder trying to maintain this gap. Kemper Jr. maintaining his over top Leighton Mull.
Hudman moving up into the top 5 along with Levi Meador, who moves up to 6. Some great runs right here happening amongst them as we keep an eye to see what will happen with our race leaders as Dragunov retakes the race lead here in the closing moments as he will lead them. Here's what Harder does. He goes up to the outside, trying to see if he can set up an undercut move to the inside. Not going to work. Crosses back over to the outside. He doesn't have the advantage, but can he keep the momentum up side by side for the race lead as they come through the final corners?
One last opportunity for Harder to keep himself perfect. Side by side from the outside. A couple drivers have made it work this weekend. Harder tries to maintain it. It's another drag race at the line. It is Harder by 27 one-thousandths of a second. Dragunov loses the drag race as Kemper Jr. holds on to 3rd. Leighton Mull in 4th. Cataldo, Hudman, Meador gets shuffled back with hands raised in 7th. Sivakumar, Cooper Mull, Jet Price amongst your top 11. Remember, hand scoring for the 825 machine after a transponder issue. Other drivers in this field, Corpita finished off in the 12th spot. Lehan's in 13th. Gomez and Coyne were in the pack also. So as you look at your results on screen, we get ready for our finals. A quick break in the action. You're watching Kart Chaser.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Hi, I'm Jackson with Alpha Race Hub. Alpha is an all-in-one motorsports software solution that can solve all the software problems you need for your track, facility, or series. Alpha can cover all your software bases, from online registration, digital e-waivers, a proprietary timing and scoring software, incident management, automated points tabulation, tire and barcode scanning. We even have our own mobile timing app and rental kart activity management software. If you're looking to consolidate your motorsports software solutions, reach out to us at alphatiming.co.uk.
Welcome back to the Apex Karting Championships. The Southeast Division gets into its finals of this weekend. 5 more finals on tap. We start things off in the Briggs Masters, where Eric Fagan starts on the pole alongside Brad Davis, Troy Tony, Todd Barron and Andrew Root, the top 5. Matthew Zagatis, Todd Davis, Paul McIlroy, along with J. Brian Williams, Anthony Harwin. Blew in along with Chad Miller, Drew Galloway, and 14th goes to Paul Nyken on part of the grid. Look top to bottom of the running order as we are set for 14 strong. Are you ready to go for some finals, Taylor?
Absolutely. It's time to lock it in, ladies and gentlemen. Get ourselves a great fight for the finish here today at NOLA. Give out the second round of trophies. It's time to go racing in NOLA once again.
All right. It's going to be a fun time for the field to battle it out once again. Skid track is in full action in the background, but the go-kart track is about to get in full bloom for some racing. In the pre-final, Fagan grew the gap by a few seconds. Can he do it again in the final for the big points? Green is out. 12 minutes plus 2 laps are on the board. And Fagan gets himself clear. Already the top 3 single file just about, in fact. Was for a split second, though, as Barron also got a decent jump as they make their way down the back straightaway. Barron stays in the line. Oh, wow. It's Tony that's amongst those on the hunt.
Troy Tony working his way through into the top 5 right now as they go single file through, skating their way through the infield section. Couple of drivers starting to separate themselves. The first drivers to really be lined up nose to tail is in 4th with Barron and Zagaitis. As trouble, one kart is stuck in the grass, the 434 machine, as he will now have to rejoin the track, and hopefully he can continue on. That is Andrew Root, who has quite a bit of work to do.
Root ends up falling to the back end of the field. Unfortunate for Root, again on injury substitution this weekend. It's Fagan and Tony that are 1 and 2, though. Look how low Tony's getting, and one of the big things when it comes to these drivers, remember, is the height. You're talking about some big differences in about a couple inches or so in terms of actually in the seat. Remember, we talked about this yesterday, Taylor, where that impacts how the air impacts you for how the speed's going to be for the kart and how low you can get to stay lined up and tucked in for these draft packs.
That's why you see a lot of drivers, mostly for the juniors and a senior categories, you'll see them just tuck their head. For the masters, they like to lay back and try to get as low as they can, keeping their knees up as they try to work their way through the straightaway. And now we're going to get this all jumbled up as we see Todd Barron and company and work their way through as they go side by side a little further back for positioning. McCleary, Brian Williams trying to fight his way inside the top 7.
Yep, right now, the top groupings of drivers starting to splinter. Seen this before. Bill Fagan's got the long run speed in him to be able to build some buffers yet again on this type of a racetrack. Now the tough thing is going to be, quite simply for Tony, long run consistency. That's been the key for these drivers this entire weekend. That's got to be critical to think about for all these drivers here, is making sure with the draft you don't lose touch to your competitors in these packs. That's why it's so important to stay tucked into these packs.
Watching this mid-pack here with the 403 and McClear, Bluin, Nykan, Zagaitis and company, all really trying to see if they can work together to close that gap as Troy Tony now falls back into the clutches of Brad Davis. Got to be careful with how his kart is set up. We've seen him have that mid to long range pace, but it seems like here on the short end of the stick, it is going to be going into the favor of Eric Fagan.
Yep. A little bit of wiggles, though, with the wind still for Tony. See, just that issue with the turbulence right now, maybe with the front bite, just cost him a spot, in fact. Davis retaking it, and that's one thing I've noticed here is, with both the races today, Tony's got the raw speed, but it's been about limiting mistakes with those wiggles, with keeping car control so important and making sure you keep that front grip so when you have to fight the wheel, you don't get the twitchiness that ends up costing you a tenth or two.
Tweetiness indeed is going to come into play further and further along. The wind's starting to calm down a little bit. It's still blowing significantly, but not as bad as what we saw this morning. These drivers are still kind of have to see the kart go out a little bit, and you'll see that step out in the back end quite a bit later on.
Looking at Todd Barron, by the way, up in the top 5 yet again for the old veteran. He's doing a good job maintaining this bumper. Zagaitis, though, in the midst of a hornet's nest, it looks like right now. Zagaitis got praises from the team boss coming into this weekend. Matthew Zagaitis still just trying to find a way to hold on amongst the top 5 here. For reference, Matthew Zagaitis, good amount of racing experience coming over from his respective region. See him pop up, including some by 8 points. Great run in the Ignite Series back at the end of October to be able to pick up that side of the championship trophies over the year.
Yeah, it's one of the series that has been quite regular and a great stepping stone for drivers who just want to get involved in karting, the Ignite Karting Series. But this Apex Series is another one as we watch Zagaitis try to hold off some competitors here with a big run down the front straightaway. He's got to worry about Brian Williams, who we've seen really put on some incredible pace here as he tries to work his way around Miller, makes the pass complete.
Yep. Able to get away as we look away with Miller, indeed. Talking originally at Zagaitis as J. Brian Williams slipped his way through to take the spot and get the position once again. J. Brian Williams in particular has had such an up and down weekend, and we know when Whiteland can put on some tough performances to be able to claw his way through that. 475 has had to battle and 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 battle. Did I say and battle enough times to emphasize it's been a war against the attrition and the adversity for the 475.
I think you forgot another battle, but hey, that 475 is starting to make it where it counts, making this nice recovery run in 7th position right now. He's got a little bit of work to do to catch up to Nikan, but it can be done. I mean, we still have 5.5 minutes left to go. A lot can still happen as we go back up towards the front of the field with Brad Davis and Troy Toney. Davis was able to get around him for that 2nd position. So now we'll see what we can do with Troy Toney with the new gen machine.
You almost gotta love the speed that New Gen puts together in general as a package, Taylor, that we've seen in the races. They have a lot of good drivers. I've seen them pop up a lot of the regional scene. As they said in the weekend, it's been about building numbers, building development for a group that's been around for a while. It's been a stellar group to be able to be a part of, and that's why so many drivers have done well with them. CKA, we've seen them do very well in the Grands as well as a team. Shouldn't be surprised to see some of their drivers up at the front here. So as they go out here around the track, coming up to 4 minutes to go here. Davis keeping things at bay, Taylor. What do you think is going through his mind on his approach here?
Well, Davis is hoping he can get a little bit of help from Troy Toney right now as he is starting to lose touch. Looking at the times between your top 3 competitors, Troy Toney has been just set the fastest lap of the race, and for Brad Davis, he's kind of in the hunt. He's got the pace, but he just needs that little extra to try and break the mold and get his way up closer to your leaders.
Yep, at this point, it's about trying to tick the time away, make sure you find a way to chip away, and Fagan making it all the more difficult. He's using all the real estate on the track this time by. They are closing up here despite the separation, so the long run once again might come up as a key. Davis, the past 2 laps, has gone in the 50.7s. Fagan, he's been mostly in that case. Barron his effort for reference in that pack. How impactful has the draft been? He's in the 51s. Williams, able to pass by the 499. Remember, again, went from the very back of the field up to the top 6 as well, a part of those moves. Some impressive drives, some of the recoveries as we see how the rest of the packs fare out here in these Gagos of 3.
Absolutely, and I have been impressed with Brian Williams' run now as he is going to make a top 5. And looking at his times right now, Williams is faster than pretty much the next 2 competitors ahead of him. And as they work their way through, it's going to be an exciting one to see here on what Brian can do in the closing laps. He's got quite a bit of work to do. 4 seconds behind Todd Barron.
Oh, wow. We come up to the final few minutes of this one. We talked about the new gen machines here today. Of course, with this being a new championship, new opportunities, as it allows the opportunity to build representation in a new championship and build some experience at the national level. Be able to build a series that fills that gap in the racing scene. For them, you see how well we've seen them play out today. All this still with the rest of the Hornets' Nest staying together in the final 90 seconds. Right now, running out of time to be able to get something done, Taylor.
A lot of opportunities still up for grabs for our competitors as they work their way through. And in keeping an eye on the back straightaway, the 479 machine trying to work with McClear and Bluen as they will work their way by. The 403 picking up a couple of spots into 9th.
Take a listen to the new gen boss and what his thoughts were with this championship coming into this weekend.
Talk to me about this weekend and the driver contingent you have, and overall.
Apologies there on that one, as we will work on that. Oh, wow, we have 40 seconds to go. It is about 3 laps to go, Taylor. It's doing or die time for some of these points in these battles. McIlroy wants those -1.
It is certainly
now
do or die
let's
time.
get those thoughts.
This track is a very, very fast layout, so being able to carry the speed through the corners and have smooth hands and let the kart work and not sliding off like we had this morning. But that's really it. Nobody other than Liam, nobody else has been to this track, so we've had a really quick learning curve for everybody. Our engineer and kind of coach, Ben Fuller, he's done his homework and has really studied the track, and he's given all our drivers really good pointers on what to fix.
And here's the key about those pointers and what we've seen improve across the weekend. That race lead has started to evaporate all of a sudden. Just as we started showing that, the lead went down to under 0.7 of a second and is getting trimmed away with the new gen machine of Tony, a part of that charge up at the front. Davis just took it away with 2 laps to go. Fagan has fallen down and is losing ground all of a sudden. A big change with Davis closing up about 1.3 seconds and a lap and a half, 2 laps.
Some mistake must have happened there for Eric Fagan to lose that much time, but now the ball is in Brad Davis's court as he tries to find his way around and holds off the hard charge of Fagan. Tony's starting to fall off the pace from your top 2 as well. He's only got maybe one more attempt to try to make it work here as Davis sends it into the corners with a kart length advantage.
Coming around to the last lap this time through. Can Davis hold serve? Can Fagan get another run to have a shot ahead of the blue and black machine? White flag is out. Final time around. What will they do? Tony is still 4 kart lengths behind. To the middle goes Davis to block. Fagan gets the better draft. He gets the chance to take this lead clean. He does. Gets it done as they make the way to Sector 3.
Good pass right there by Eric Fagan as they work their way through the infield section. Brad Davis has maybe 1 or 2 more passing opportunities to try to make it stick, but Fagan is able to pull away. No room for error for Fagan as he tries to come through the final corners and looking to take home a win.
Coming up to the checkered flag here. What a last lap again. Eric Fagan has to battle back with Davis. Gets it done. The 206 Masters goes to Eric Fagan. Brad Davis in second. Troy Toney gets third. Barron gets a top 5. And a drive from the back to near the front from 14th starting spot for Nightcan. Gets it done in a drag race over J. Brian Williams. Another drag race amongst teammates from Miller and Sagaitis.
Incredible racing all around the racing circuit here at NOLA, but for Eric Fagan, well, welcome to being the first ever winner of the 206 Masters for the Apex Karting Championship.
Well done for your CKA Grands champion from 2025. It's a 4/10 second of a difference between Emma Davis, Tony, Barron, Nightcan, top 5. Williams, Miller, Zagaitis, Gilry, and Galloway, your top 10 in this field. Lewin finished off in 11th position behind these drivers. Others to note, Todd Davis, Anthony Harlan, and Andrew Root were the other competitors here, Taylor, in what was a busy time for this class once again for the end.
It really was, and it's going to be an amazing championship fight between these competitors when we go to the next round later on. And it's going to be an exciting one to have to say, watch this class for sure.
So our next field coming up in a couple moments here. Take a quick step aside for a split second. We'll take a listen to the music. You're watching Kart Chaser. We'll be back second with 206 Micro. Stay here. .206 Micro hits the circuit for their final. Earlier today, we seen Spencer Height pull away and then have a spin on the last lap. Maddox Knives will start in second with McCarthy in third, Landon Pete in fourth, Chandler Babbitt in fifth, Ashton Pete will try and bounce back from an issue with their kart from the sixth position. So this field gets ready to roar around the circuit. Should be some fun. We talked about some of the differences in the move up here, Taylor. Compared to a kid kart, it's basically full throttle. With a kid kart, you have to have the lifts when it comes to the micro side of things. We've seen how fast Height's kart has been going through these corners on the lift points.
Let's just say he's been so fast that even when he does make a mistake, he still is able to maintain the race lead here. And we saw in the pre-final with 2 spins to come home with the checkered flag as we see the last of the 206 micros closing in to the tail end of the field. And we're set to go racing here once again.
Green, 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 and we're underway for 206 micro. McCarthy already taking second spot. That's how important the bottom of the racetrack's been all throughout this weekend. You just have to get that run immediately following that control kart. Height on the short runs has been kept at bay, remember, this time after McCarthy's slide on that entry out of the back straightaway, losing ground again. And once again, McCarthy cuts through in the grass. That will cost him ground to the 223. Knives drives by.
Knives will drive by, and as they work their way through, this could open up the door for Landon Pete to close in and make a run here to move into the top 3 as he tries to find his way around the circuit. And as they do so, out of the final corner for the opening lap, it is going to be, of course, Spencer Height leading the charge once again.
So Height will try and rise up and pull off away from the rest of this pack here. Of note, both the Petes have dropped into their own battle at the back of the group. See them back for a moment. And you gotta love the ability for parents to be able to get involved with the racing side of things, be able to connect as a result of these racing scenes with their brands through. We've seen in particular GoGo Motorsports been the social media side ran by the family side when it comes to Height. They've been keeping track of things for a long time at the very least to be able to help build that brand, because if you want to be a race car driver, Taylor, a big part of things in 2025 is you need to be able to get your name out there, and some start it young.
Some do start at young. I mean, that's why we have these certain divisions like kid karts, like the micros, like the minis. You got to make yourself marketable and make sure people will follow you and keep up with you. And that's what opens up those opportunities to race for the bigger teams, but also just to put your name out there to showcase your talent. And that's what these young kids are trying to do, showcase their talent by entering in these races that we're seeing, such as the Apex Karting Championship, as well as other grassroots series, because that's just what they want to do. They want to have the chance to go run in the nationals or the super regional events that we have here, all the way up to the biggest forms of karting that we have here in the United States and the world.
And for now, the rest of the pack looks to try and find the rhythm to end out the day. 9 minutes to go coming up on the clock with much of the field spread apart. I will say for the rest of the day, I'm expecting things to be very tight-knit for those when you talk about that slide going up to the full throttle, coming up with the seniors, for example, with those battles. It should be one of those types of races where it's either going to go one of two ways, I think, coming up, Taylor. The top two are going to separate away again, or it ends up being like the heat races where it's like Daytona-style drafting, where at least 4, 5, 6 contenders battle it on out, and it becomes a wrestling match where you want to be second for the final lap. There's almost no in-between of what we could see. Well, there is some potential possibilities, but I don't know if we will see the in-betweens.
It will all depend on how that opening lap will go in the start of the race. If it gets a little too argy-bargy where drivers go off track, drivers make mistakes, then yes, we're going to see that spread out. But if you see these drivers settle in knowing, hey, we still have 12 minutes Probably looking at about 15 laps of racing, a lot of opportunities. If they be patient on those opening laps, that's when we'll probably see that Daytona pack style racing for the KA senior, or for the 206 senior category, as well as the juniors and, of course, the mini category later on as well.
The Bobby Crew Racing Services machines we've seen throughout the weekend have been very strong. What did they have their thoughts on when it came to Apex? Let's take a listen.
Yeah, we intend to compete in all of the Apex events down here in the South, their Midwest Series, and obviously their championship at Trackhouse. You know, obviously we
Apologies once again, as we are at 7 minutes to go here. So at this point, the 223 continues to control things now for second spot. Been having a battle from a couple different off tracks here, but every time, Taylor, he's bounced back with good speed, and that's why he's built up the gap on McCarthy.
Absolutely, as we watch on through the field here, I gotta say, for Maddox Neves, he has still been making some decent pace right now. He's still quite a ways off, about 1.2 seconds behind as far as times compared to Spencer Height, but I've been watching him make steady progress throughout this weekend here, and it's been a great and incredible run to watch some of these young drivers work their way through.
Absolutely. Still with 6 minutes to plot and plan here for a lot of these battles. By the way, Babin has dropped on back. So for now, the rest of the field look to try and sort it out. Babin works his way ahead. As we continue on, why don't we get some more thoughts on your thoughts of things here, Taylor, to say the very least. McCarthy looks to find his way to chip away the gap here. Right now, last time by, he was actually 8/10 faster than the 223.
Yeah, he's been really making a good pace right now. Just set his fastest lap of the race last time by and starting to pick away a little bit at the gap for second place, even after his early mistake, making a nice little recovery as he tries to close in. Let's see what the gap is as he comes out of the final corner. Gets a great run as he does not go too wide, stays a little bit into the racing groove. Across the line he'll go. He picks it up a little bit more, about 2/10 faster than Maddox Neves last time by.
Just trying to find a way to be able to make this pass work. For reference, out of the pre-final turnout when it came to these two, well, it was McCarthy behind by a sizable margin. Knives staying in the second spot. Right now, McCarthy seems to have been able to find, never seen them have the speed difference compared to the 223 where they were tight at the hip during the heat races before. One of the big things about this series too is it goes to 3 different circuits across its schedule here in the South. One of those is Atlanta Motorsports Park. AMP, as it's known, going to be one of those tracks to watch for with its very unique characteristics. Let's take a listen to one team owner who is very excited about the prospects for that group.
Talk to me about the excitement of getting to have the Apex South Series and its first iteration coming to AMP for the South Division finale.
It's actually really exciting. I think us will personally have a big show out, which I'm excited for to help support the Apex and series and their growth. I want to see large numbers there, which I think it will be. There's a lot of people in the region that'll do the race that are part of AMP locally, and I'm sure all these great drivers will come as well. It'll be interesting seeing AMP with a first national race, though. Like, that'll be that'll be exciting, and I'm sure come with its own challenges, but it'll be rewarding all in all. So.
And the key word there, first national appearance for a track that I've heard talked about so many times, Taylor. These two right here should have a ball when we get to that point. As we started to lead into that, McCarthy and Knives just started going back and forth like a wrestling match.
They certainly did. They locked horns, ready to go at it once again, and it looks like for the moment, McCarthy will be getting back around for Neves and try to hold on. Can he not make a mistake here in the closing minutes to maintain second position? No, because here comes Neves back to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to work his way back around. Could not make it work, though, but that bottom lane, he is really working to try to make it stick and get around McCarthy for second spot. But back to the point of what we heard from Mr. Porter Aiken and the excitement to going to Atlanta Motorsports Park is a great opportunity. First national regional karting event coming to that area. I mean, it has one of the biggest groups of drivers that come racing there week in and week out, and it's a great facility. And then, of course, the other event that we'll be going to in Jacksonville, Florida, the North Florida Kart Club, is another great facility as well. And I know for a fact we'll be going there for Kart Chasers coverage later on. In fact, if I can say this, we're covering the Winter Nationals there at that event for the first weekend in January.
Wintertime is fun, and from everything I heard about Jacksonville, similar characteristic here, long straightaways, potential to get things, to have some separation that we've seen pop up in some of the races, Taylor, but it is the characteristics of what we've seen in a lot of these circuits. Ebbs and flows, high speed, high on throttle time, and as well, good ability to be able to have some technical areas here and there to battle it out. Side by side again. Knives actually getting some bumps there a little bit with McCarthy. Picks up some extra draft. How about that attempt? Had to back out of it, didn't get enough of a run to go to the bottom and loses ground coming out from the back straightaway.
Yeah, he lost quite a bit of ground right there, Justin, and I have to say he's going to have to work a little bit deeper. He's got some time, about 3, maybe 4 laps left to go for him to try to make it work, but it's still going to be a tall order. He's got the pace right here in the infield section. This is where he makes the most gain to set himself up for the back stretch. He looks to the inside, tries to see if he can work his way through, almost makes contact with him, and as they'll drag race to the start-finish line, McCarthy on the top, Neves on the bottom. McCarthy regained control of second place.
Closest battle on the racetrack, to say the very least, coming up to a couple laps to go for the Micros here this evening. It's been fun, but will it continue is the huge part of all of this. Once again, it's Knives who gets another switch, another pass. McCarthy gets himself behind yet again. McCarthy tries to get the reset. He's running out of opportunities to be able to keep doing this. Seems like McCarthy, again, really solid on his speed. Right here is a good example. Closes up about a kart length with the ability to carry in the mid-corners and is trying the wider arcs to get some good exits to counter that for the straightaway.
Good counter run right here as he'll try to cross him over as Neves sends it down to the bottom. McCarthy, can he respond as he tries to get himself going on the back straightaway? He'll get right up there with a great run off corner exit. Now tries to see as Neves starts to throw the blocks, looks over to find where he's at. McCarthy with a big head of steam to the bottom, completes the pass.
Coming up to 1 lap to go as McCarthy once again gets the opportunity. Yellow flags flying in that sector. Looks like we've had one kart with issues. That is Babin, who's already fallen a couple laps down, so that will see them fall down. Rather, that might be Landon Petrie, who just fell a couple laps down. So one of the drivers having issues regardless. The battle is on the final lap between these two. Knives gets in front going down the final corners, while Height pulls in front of the backstretch. Front straightaway. Knives defends again. McCarthy takes the dive side by side as they work their way to the back straightaway. All this as well.
Ooh, a little bit of contact right there between two of them as they go side by side. McCarthy's wondering what is going on. He'll send it down to the bottom, gets the position. He's got to be careful not to try to overdo it and go too wide off corner exit.
Leaders coming out of the final corners now. Spencer Height makes his way out to the front straightaway. It's Spencer Height who puts on his strongest performance of the weekend. 15 plus seconds for the win. Second is not done. McCarthy gets back in front of Knives. Knives crosses him up for the dog leg. A dive in the final corner. McCarthy to hold on for second. He does. McCarthy wins the tug of war for P2.
Great racing action there, and even not afraid to get the elbows out to put on a hard-fought battle for the second place. Congratulations to McCarthy and Maddox Neves for putting on a very entertaining race.
Yeah, they stayed tightly glued, and I had a feeling that might have happened with the way the heat races went yesterday. 17 seconds the winning margin for one Spencer Height. Then Ashton and Landon Pete were 4th and 5th. Chandler Babin finishes in 6th. So a couple of our finals are complete. We'll take a quick step aside. Final number 3 of the afternoon coming up around the corner.
Start number 2 gets win number 1 in OKN Stars.
On track or off, Brandon Jarsekrak Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarsekrak, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarsekrakRacing.com.
Gee, looks like we're missing the engine. What the hell am I supposed to tap?
What do you mean? It's my Greyhound. It's all I need.
Where's the rest of it?
It doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
You gotta make way. Okay, you're good.
Sitting by here with Kyle, our race winner. Tell me how you did it. You were blazing fast out there, and I mean, you don't even have a go-kart, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, Norberg, Schmorberg, the Greyhound-powered Greyhound was great today. You know, it makes the difference. And the team's been working really hard back at the shop, and, you know, just shout out Greyhound.
Thank you, Kyle.
How the did you just win? Doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
Welcome back, everyone, to the action as we get set to go for our next final. It is the Briggs Senior. Henry Wheeler, it's been the talk of the weekend, has won in 3 different ways. From the outside, from the inside, And from the domination position, he'll start on the pole with Cameron Reed alongside Adriano Iannuzzi in third, Jackson Miller in fourth, Levi Getz in fifth, McDonough, Sherrick, Schwalm along with Cusilo in the top 9, Colton Kelly in 10th, Zier in 11th, Kiefer St. Clair in 13th. Big note though for this race, a 7 position turns to 14th for Overbeck. It ends up being a minus 10 originally for Overbeck. He finishes behind all the DNSs, and Nunez had Wade light. He is done for the day when it comes to that side of things. So Overbeck at the back of the field. Keep an eye on how far that 901 gets. Green flag is out. We're underway for the 206 seniors. Wheeler gets the edge, and off the track goes one into a drifty drift. The 900 of Kelly gets stuck in the long grass.
Tough break there for Colton Kelly, as he will now have to be out of the race, unfortunately, as we watch Henry Wheeler, Cameron Reed, Iannuzzi trying to work his way through around the circuit, as we keep an eye to see what James Overbeck can do on the opening lap.
Right now, a couple drivers having more issues. Getz, for good measure, having one as well. Another driver going off track. 2 off tracks in the opening 2 sectors. But for Wheeler, it's been the thriller type of a weekend so far for him. Keeps in front. McDonough is in the lead pack, was the fastest out of everybody on the opening lap. Peyton McDonough could be someone to watch for as another spinner at the back of the field.
That's the 916 machine of Colton Grazer, and now he's got to rejoin the track, but out of contention right now, as he is definitely not having the race he wanted to have. Watching further through the field, James Overbeck picking him off one by one as he looks to find his way around the next competitor that he sets his sights to. That's Zakulo in the 989.
Now, the interesting from McDonough is a part of M2RT Motorsports that has a Miata program as well. We've seen over the years, for example, in some of the teams they've appeared with in terms of the racing. That team, also part of M2 Race Team with the Avondale, Louisiana region, with some of the posts we've seen. Logan and Peyton McDonough, third-generation racers, carrying on the family legacy, now in the conversation up front while the battle continues behind them.
And with that, the 2 of the BK Racing Service groups right there. Bobby Krug right there in his group of drivers with Miller, and Schwalm will work his way through. And as they work their way watching on the battle here for competition, I have to say, this is going to be incredible to watch as Overbeck picks up a couple of more spots.
Yep. Overbeck on Iannuzzi. In fact, that's how fast Overbeck is here today. I think Overbeck is definitely encouraged to try and make these work quick. And the thing is, it was a minus 10 originally for the grid slots from the penalizations after the grid adjustment for Overbeck. It's going to be difficult once he gets this lead pack to be able to close up the next one without getting some help. He's going to need to get some help from the Bobby Krug machines, to say the very least. Some of the yards in the back of the group are not working together for reference, so they're losing carts behind where Overbeck is in the first place.
I couldn't think Overbeck caught up to the 2 drivers here. He's trying to find his way around Avery Schwalm right now as he puts the bumper a little bit, tries to see if he can push him a little bit and make the charge. He's going to stay tucked up behind and now work their way through. You have Jackson Miller right behind as they are up ahead as they tuck in and set themselves off to turn 1.
Dunna still waiting in the wings to be able to sort something out here. M2 Race Team, a hometown team in that group, but that second group still has Overbeck hunting. So do you give a signal or anything along these lines? We've talked about the danger of signals that can be interpreted to others here, Taylor, but what do you do to try and give that, you said, of, hey, I want to work together. I'm willing to push you until you leave a door. Well, the door just opened, didn't it? On point.
Oh, I mean, I think the door
again.
just got made. And now that will spread out everyone here in this group.
Every time I try and make a point about drivers working together, it gets to the same thought that also comes up from yesterday. If you wait too long, you lose ground. I think Overbeck's taking the mindset of just get as far as possible here, hasn't he?
He's trying his best to right now. He's trying to get up to Jackson Miller. Now has caught him. He's going to see what he will do now. Will he try to get around him? He's got the pace to show for it, as he has made significant gains from 13th to the top 5 at this time. But he's also got to think bigger picture. He's now got to try and hunt down and make up 3 seconds to catch up to your top 3. As he now looks to the inside, takes the spot away from Jackson Miller, and now sets his sights on McDonough, who is also off the pace from your top 2.
So as they continue to try and draft together, take a look at how things go again back here with Schwalm. Schwalm, amongst those we've seen a part of the plenty that have gotten the opportunity to race here with the team, was signed back in October by BKRS to join the program for this season. Had originally picked up 4 victories, a part of, have you ever heard of this? The Quincy Grand Prix. Yes, the very prestigious street race. He's also a 2-time Ignite Heavy Championship winner. And he's right in the hornet's nest of some of these battles here with that 902 machine.
He is trying to really put on a great run here, as Schwalm is doing a lot of moving and shaking here as he tries to hold off the rest of the competition. As they come down the front straightaway, it's a group of 4 lined up nose to tail. And I got to say, Nunez is right there in the mix. How about Sherrick also in the top 10, trying to see if he can take it up with some of the young guns.
Checking back in with McDonough. Unfortunate, they've lost the draft. They, mind you, as a team, was referring to them, actually run as well in something called the Nation Club, which is essentially Louisiana and Mississippi-based races. They actually hosted a race here at this same facility just last month. So they do make appearances for their respective tour for the regional side of things. They also have seen their inaugural races being moved around a part of their schedules too. So there's a lot of hype about the regional championships coming up for the Nation Club, for their side of things, for those in this region.
Yeah, the racing action here in Louisiana, Mississippi are been phenomenal here on the Gulf Coast, and put on some stellar karting championships all throughout the years. It's been impressive, but of course racing here at New Orleans at the NOLA Motorsports Park, they have had some heavy hitters come and race here at this circuit with multiple different championships making a stop here. It's a destination track for a lot of people. We talked about time and time again throughout the weekend, some of these drivers are making their first ever appearance here at NOLA. Henry Wheeler being one of them. James Overbeck has talked about the excitement of racing here at this track. And Cameron Reed, hometown hero here, looking to try to see if she can put one up on the board. We've had a couple of Louisiana natives take home the win here. Can she be the next one?
Cameron, you talked about trying to pick the right timing for these moves in some of your discussions with her throughout the day yesterday. Today, she's definitely in the right position to do something here. Still 4 minutes to make that decision. Remember, won the out-of-the-box challenge back in 2024, for example. One of the local drivers that runs with her own organization. A lot of talent when it comes to Cameron Reed. Also runs shifters. Actually has had appearances with MX5 Cup appearances over the years. Has ran an F1 600 when it comes to that side of things. Lots of appearances with the racing, and also had actually posted a couple weeks ago, of the goal to try and run a rescue to race car build to try and turn Miata into a spec MX5 race car.
That's an interesting prospect. We'll have to keep an eye on how that will go out for her. But, I mean, Cameron Reed is one of those talents who has raced in multiple different series throughout the years and is always a fan favorite to watch. And we have her on the Kart Chaser broadcast multiple times, and everyone always enjoys her perspective with the racing action here, especially at a track like NOLA.
As I was making that point, we took the look over towards this battle pack yet again as well. This involves Sherrick. So much of the seat time was talked about being valuable with the KA side in particular this weekend, to be able to get seat time at this track. Sherrick has really utilized that, it seems, in this final to try and score solid points here. Sherrick, so far in the points metric on the season, for those curious for the senior side, coming into this, actually was in 7th. Had 7th, 7th, and 8th. If he's able to hold off some of these drivers, would have his highest run of the weekend here. Seems to be working pretty well. Has a teammate in Shalom who's also in this pack amongst those, still trying to battle off some of the others here. So it's a good chance for Sherrick, who's only a couple years into karting, to be able to get the job done for a solid finish here for their team in the second pack. Or the third pack, should say. Under 2 minutes to work with on the clock, by the way. Right now, things continue to tick down on time. McDonough is just about to be reeled in, by the way, by Overbeck, because that second grouping, Overbeck and Miller, are in the 49.7s. They're up the road from this group you're watching along, who are in the 50.2s, the 50.9s. McDonough has been running 50.3s on their own without anybody to work with in their drafting pack.
Yeah, that's not going to be a help whatsoever for McDonough, and as we see time progress here, Overbeck should possibly catch him maybe on the final lap, which would give him that opportunity to take third away. He's got to make sure he keeps that pace up and continues to click off. With that, next time by, another 0.4 of a second clicked off. He is now 1.5 seconds behind McDonough.
Down to what's looking to be, what will probably be 3 laps to go at the stripe. There is what we're referring to there. See that going off the back straight away. Overbeck might still get a podium, but obviously could have been much better with how things were looking earlier on today. Remember, Overbeck already here today showed a lot of speed in the morning program when it came to the KA program. Overbeck picked up the KA senior victory earlier today when it came to the pre-final in the main, and went to Daniel Perez after some battling there. For Overbeck, gonna be a solid day, but could have been more, you would have to think, but a solid drive overall to get back in the conversation.
James Overbeck, if it wasn't for the mistakes in the pre-finals here in the 206 seniors, he would have had a better starting position for sure, and maybe still battling it out with Wheeler and Reed in the closing stages, as he has now finally caught up to McDonough. Should hopefully try to make short work of it to get on the podium, but McDonough gonna fight on here. He has that chance for a podium finish as they come around to get 2 laps to go.
2 to go on the day for the seniors. Coming up here is now taken by Henry Wheeler and Cameron Reed. Overbeck gonna have maybe 1, if not 2 shots to get around McDonough here to take away a podium position. The leaders look like this. Still no move made up at the front. Here comes Overbeck for his draft. His help says, thank you for the spot. I'll take the points also. Miller stayed in sync the entire time, and now Miller able to take the reward of gaining another place.
Now the question is going to be, what will Miller do as we go up to the front of the field now? It is go time for Cameron Reed and Henry Wheeler. Who will be on the top step of the podium? We're about to find out. Out of the final corner, white flags in the air. It's time to see how this plays out in your 206 seniors.
Final time around. Reed looking to try and take this away from the driver who's won all throughout the weekend in this class. Wheeler nearly to the bottom. There is room for Reed if she wants it. Doesn't take it. Would have been tight. Reed, little bit of a bump. Elects to lift off though. Got bogged down after the checkup in the middle of the apex. Reed loses 2 kart lengths. Here we go.
You saw Wheeler hit the curb, which caused Reed to back off. She's got a couple of chances to make it work, but it might be too little too late. Through the final corners they'll go. Here comes Cameron Reed with a final push.
Reed's going to need some luck here. Wheeler looks perfect on exit. Henry Wheeler, yet again, gets a win. This time it's the 206 Seniors in its final. Henry Wheeler holds off Cameron Reed. Overbeck ends up third. McDonough still gets a fourth. And Jackson Miller in fifth. Chaos in the next pack. Sees Acuzio in front of Shawam. Sherrick drops from 6th to 9th. Not nice.
Yeah, Sherrick was looking to have at least a 6th or a 7th place finish right there, but unfortunately went too wide off into the grass, and a tough break for him.
But Wheeler, he did everything possible to hold off Reed. That checkup in the apex coming off the back straight away was the big part of this finish for Wheeler. 4/10 over Reed. Over Beck, holds on to a podium over McDonough by 2/10. Miller ends up a 10th back, half a 10th in fact to McDonough. Guzio, Shawam, Yanuzzi, Sherrick, Nunez, the top 10. Getz ends up 4 laps down. Brazier was black flagged along with Getz and Kelly. Kelly was the last driver in this one. Look top to bottom up the Briggs Senior main results. Some fun racing so far, but the minis, they've been having wrestling matches all day. Taylor, next on the docket.
It's hard to believe how quickly things have changed here, and we are on the final push with the last 2 events with the Briggs Mini and Junior categories next here on the docket.
Couple minutes away. We'll take a listen to the music. You're watching Kart Chaser. fourth final of the afternoon, ready to rumble. Are you ready for some minis? Here's how things look here, and this is going to see Liam 4 start up at the front. That's because Ruben Greer got a 3-second penalty for blocking in the pre-final. Greer instead will start in second. Stowers over Kanache, Todd, followed by Thompson, Firestein, along with No and Miller are the rest of the drivers in this one. So we're set to go for the Briggs Mini Main. This should be a wrestling match based on the trends today. On the bright side, if you're a Todd fan, well, you get the bottom of the racetrack for the first time this weekend. Watch for the launch from them as they make their way to the front.
That's going to be a big relief for Mikey Todd as we get set to go racing here. It's a green flag. Away we go. And already they're going to start jockeying for position down to the bottom of the racetrack. Stowers takes over the second position. 4 will now hold on to the race lead as Greer drops back to third.
Down the front, back straightaway, I should say. Straightaways are important to be able to get right as they make their way through to do things right here. Kanache jumps up to the 4th position as more off-track excursions we do. Yet again, the 122 having a bit of issues that Miller, they're towards the back initially, had picked up a little ground, and Cohen Miller will lose a lot of ground. Oh, wow. This gaggle of karts losing a lot as they are very twitchy right now in towards Sector 3 into the final corners.
And with all this battling that's going on right now, Justin, that's going to allow Liam Ford to start to spread his wings a little bit and fly off like the Pelicans here in New Orleans as he tries to pull away. Gap is about 3/4 of a second right now as he tries to work on through. Stowers and Greer got back together again and really starting to pull away from the competition in that third group and close back in on Liam Ford.
4 doing exactly what he's been looking for here, trying to get a win all season long to be able to get the edge for their class. It's competed all across the nation with 166, and the efforts paying off here in the South today. Stowers, though, we know is very quick, has been in the conversation all weekend as well. One of the local drivers, if you can call it Georgia local, who's getting opportunity to go from the outside, looking to make the run work. Stowers gets himself alongside as the RPM machine gets back in line.
Ryan Perry Motorsports groups of drivers are trying everything they can to make it work for him as Stowers will hold his way through in second position. How about Kanache working her way back up towards the front of the field? I believe that's up her in third position for her as she has worked her way through the competition.
Right now, Kanache, amongst those we've seen be fierce when it comes to these battles in the back and forth and the back and forth and the back and forth that's popped up here in this one. Camille Camache, again, a third-generation racer that's picked up kart championships for their time. She right now been focused on learning this track all weekend, and right now seems to be focused to try and make the first lead change of this race. Ford's done a good job defensively for now, but there's the draft, and there's the pole. How about 3 wide? Stowers goes around both of them on the double toe.
Pick up the 2-for-1 special down here as they work their way back onto the infield section. Stowers takes control now for the moment as Kanache has to deal with the pressure of 4 and Greer as they work their way in through the final couple of corners. Here you see Greer trying to work the way around the outside lane, getting that momentum as Kanache pushes her way through to take over the race lead.
Kanache now to the point. Oh, wow, the rest of the drivers continue to battle on out. Stowers stays back in line, and the interesting thing with Stowers is, you see that helmet? That's a brand new design they actually picked up, hand-drawn 100% by Cherniak Design for Bo Stowers. That helmet's been very much been kept on a swivel, especially with the way Greer just drove on by.
Greer is just trying to recover after that blocking penalty now, and is just trying to find the openings, takes the spots away as he works his way through, sitting in the top 3. As they work on through the final couple of corners, Greer gets the position. How about Thompson? I have to say, he has been an impressive drive right now in second place.
Now, some of those watching along on the broadcast feeds today have been cheering on Thompson. Thompson had off-track excursions the last time we shouted out the speed, so we'll avoid it this time in terms of the shout-out. I just gave one anyway. But either way, it's been important for Thompson to be able to pick and choose where these runs have come from. Also of note, because of some of the off-tracks, a little bit of grass clippings picked up on the track that's going to make those tires a little bit dirty down the straightaway.
Yeah, that's going to be a big thing right there of how much dirt and debris is getting on that back straightaway. Normally we saw it coming onto the back straightaway, but now it's starting to come more across the track thanks to the wind. I'm surprised we didn't see that earlier on this afternoon, but it's starting to pick up. Temperature starting to duck down into the high 40s right at the moment, and it's going to continue to get colder as we approach our final race of the afternoon. And already Stowers really trying everything he can to hold off Kanache and company. Mikey Todd trying to find an opening, gets back into line.
Mikey Todd waiting patiently right at the midpoint of this field. Still less than 7 minutes to go. Thing is, I don't know if this lead's going to calm down or not. Thompson, calm as we've seen from the person in second. I think Thompson's doing this a very smart way here. The thing's going to be, to me though, will the other karts be able to stay connected, build the momentum together like at Daytona? Because there's a thing about the energy when it comes to racing. You have to be able to stay in a line and work together if you want to utilize that energy. If you have a faster car, or kart in this case, make the swap. You let the faster kart lead, then chip away. Do a swap draft in that case, like we just seen with Todd. Right now, the times, with Todd even making the pass, were quicker than Thompson. That's how efficient that swap draft came, even though it was in an area you would normally expect a bit of a checkup.
Yeah, Mikey Todd did a great job of that pass right there as he now is helping them close in on your top 2. I got to say, he has got the pace right now. In fact, last time by, he was really hauling the mail with that 50-62 as they work their way through the infield section. He's got the help from Stowers. Can they close that gap right now? It's under a second as they work their way onto the front stretch.
So time gets shipped away once again as the back of the pack squabbles out 4. Goes from the lead to the very tail end with how things have played out in the pack. Right now, Todd working with Stowers. They might right now to chip this away. Mikey Todd, for reference, we've seen him get into racing because he fought in the open wheel steps, for example. He's had memories beginning his career at Speed World Sports. In terms of the racing side, was a top 10 initially when he started. The goal for 2026 when it came to that side of the Reed Motorsports banner was simple: to get multiple podiums or consistently strong results. And if you're Todd, getting both of those goals to start off the year would be really good, wouldn't it?
Certainly would be. I have to agree with you on that, Justin. I mean, getting those podiums and some more and having the chance to work that as one driver goes off into the dirt, gathers it back up. That, I believe, was Liam 4 who went off into the grass. Gap continues on and will work his way through, but has lost a little bit of time through your top 5 as they head back down the straightaway here. And so far, Ruben Greer is just being comfortable. He's got some help as Stowers and company thought about going out to try to see if they can get around Mikey Todd. Not close enough to make anything work.
Yeah, Todd at the very least has done the perfect thing. Latched on the faster draft group. Now has the chance to run away. The thing is, to be able to make this work to get around Thompson, I'm going to have to risk allowing everybody else back into the conversation. Signals from Thompson that time through. Todd's not close enough to do much with it. If anything, Todd's the bridge. And as the bridge car, or kart in this case, that's a bit of an uneasy feeling when you have the chance to feed off drafts of others, but also you have so many drivers try to gain on your draft to pick up extra speed. In their case, for reference, Kanache and Stowers last time through were 2/10 quicker than Todd with that pole.
Mikey Todd doing all he can here as he has made sure he can pull the competition closer in and compress this group of 3 to now a group of 5. Thompson now really trying to make sure he can help with Greer to pull away. He now looks to try to get around the outside. That opens the door for Mikey Todd. He'll take the spot, moves him up to second place, and now it's just one more driver for Mikey Todd to get around.
Does exactly what it was talking about, though. Allows Kanache to keep up and close up and right onto the rear end of Thompson, exactly to the key. Now it's the matter for Todd of, can they get the lead and hold on to it? The first part's easy. Big bump from behind. A huge run from Kanache. That was out from a cannon. From how big that came through with the pole. That's how efficient some of the draft can come. And now the top 3 completely changes hands. And it's not done up at the front. Kanache looking to go shallow. Todd with the squeeze. A little bit of argy-bargy with the side drafts as Todd keeps it side by side. Has to back up and get back in line. Forces Stowers out of line.
Kanache is not afraid to put up the elbows and take it up here with the boys as she tries to take over the race lead. Remember, she won heat race number 2 yesterday, looking to try to do it where it counts, trying to work her way and hold on to the race lead as here comes Stowers and Mikey Todd as they try to think about, will they duck out? No, one driver is going to duck out to make a pass. That's going to be 4 around Thompson.
What would you be telling the drivers right now if they're in the midst of this battle pack? Because it's trading hands back and forth again. Had its calm period for a couple minutes as everyone worked to close back up the deficit. What would you tell them if you could? Obviously you can't because they're on the carts right now.
Well, I mean, if I was in the position where Greer or Stows is, be a little patient. You got plenty of room to work with right now. Wait for the driver ahead to maybe open the hole for you and follow through. Don't try to make the pass. Let others do it for you and follow suit. You might be able to pick up an extra spot or 2. Save yourself for that final push. Here we're seeing it right now. It's back straightaway. Mikey Todd with all the help. And now Stowers going to go follow suit. What does Greer do? He will follow Stowers and move Mikey Todd back to 3rd.
More squeezing for the 3rd spot. Not done with Todd, able to clear. And that costs them a little bit of ground. Give it another couple laps to get back up there if they're able to calm down for a split second with 4 on inauguration. And Kanache sends it up instead. That doesn't really separate much at all. Coming up to what's going to be close for if it's 3 or 2. Looks like 3. Difference going to be a few seconds at the stripe. It's Stowers up in front. Greer again in position though. And the big thing when it comes to Ruben Greer's side, the speed's been there all weekend. Ended up having the blocking penalty before. You do not want to get into the risk of a huge block here. You have to be able to keep it a clean run to hold on the very end, especially with what's seeming like one of those races where second is going to get that huge run for the back.
Tell you what, Mikey Todd nearly had a bit of a block right there on the back straightaway and kind of looked over at Kanache wondering, what are you doing? We're not even close to try anything to catch up to the leaders. Let's settle it down here. We still have 2 more laps to go as Mikey Todd gets a little bit of breathing room now all by his lonesome. And here we go, battle for the race lead. Greer to the outside of Stowers. Does he have the spot to make it into turn number 1? Stowers holds on, pushes him up the track a little bit to maintain the race lead.
Still not done, and our poke to the inside. Now to the side pods. Greer stares back. Stowers looks over. They both look at each other. Another look to the shoulder by Greer. Greer gets the edge, going out from the back straightaway. They work to sector 3. Lap and a 3rd to go as Greer tries to hold on for dear life. The rest of the pack looking to try and see if they can pick up the pieces of Stowers coming up here.
Field now comes through the final couple of corners to take the white flag one more time around. Can Greer hold on? He's got a little bit of room to make work. Mikey Todd gets back around for 3rd as Thompson struggles. He loses multiple spots as Mikey Todd makes the run to turn 1.
Kanache also drops to the tail end for the white flag lap. Final time around. It's a big gap for second. Now the run is on, though. There's the block. Greer doesn't go for the scissor. To the inside. Stowers gets the pull. Todd trying to pass them both. Gets across one. Gets behind Stowers. Here they go to the yes. Todd might have to hope for a shallow line. Will Stowers cover it off? Todd tried for the left side. That takes away a potential chance. Instead it gives it to Greer. Greer couldn't get the poke. Todd gets swallowed as he comes into the grass. One run to the dog leg, to the final corner, side by side, near even, coming off the final rumbles. Greer inside, Stowers outside, they bump, it's Stowers with the edge, 12 one-thousandths of a second.
Incredible race there for your mini driver. Stowers pulling a rabbit out of the hat in the final few corners to make it work. And there you see the hardship of these drivers, the good competitors giving each other thumbs up in this exciting main event here for the minis.
It's Bo Stowers who gets it done. What an awesome drive from the man from Dawsonville. Ruben Greer, Liam Ford, Konachi, and Thompson. Your top five, Todd, Firestein, Miller, and Noah the rest. We'll take a step aside. One more final to go. The juniors come up next.
Gee, looks like we're missing an engine. What the hell am I supposed to tap?
What do you mean? It's my Greyhound. It's all I need.
Where's the rest of it?
It doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
You gonna make way. Okay, you're good.
Sitting by here with Kyle, our race winner. Tell me how you did it. You were blazing fast out there, and I mean, you don't even have a go-kart, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, Norberg, Schmorberg, the Greyhound-powered Greyhound was great today. You know, it makes the difference. And the team's been working really hard back at the shop, and, you know, just shout out Greyhound.
Thank you, Kyle.
How the f did you just win?
Doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and zero sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
Are you stuck with your kart racing? Not sure the ideal kart setup? Or going to a track for the first time? Well, Kart Class has the answers for you. Our online portal has a wealth of experience and knowledge to help your kart racing. From kart setup advice to track guides that are targeted specifically to your circuit, or the driver coaching aspects with mindset, racecraft and driving techniques. If you want to take your karting to the next level, visit us at kartclass.com.
You know, I'm really starting to like this go-karting thing.
Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, can I show you this cute dress I just got?
Yes, of course. Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
I just love shopping.
I love shopping too.
Oh my god.
Wait, did you guys say you like shopping?
Of course.
Well, dude, I have the perfect place to do that at. ShopPayCara.com. At ShopPayCara.com, you can get free shipping on orders $200 or more. You can get anything you want. MXC rims, gloves, rib vests, shoes, anything that you need, all at shopekar.com.
Who is he talking to?
No idea.
But we're gonna have to check it out. Sounds like a great deal.
Sure does.
For the final time for the first round of the history of Apex Karting Championships, we go racing for a final. This main event for Daniel Dragunov, we'll see him on the pole, alongside Lennon Mole, followed by Holden Harder. Tyrone Kemper Jr. 4th. Wyatt Cataldo will start 5th. Richard Rosinski in 6th. Hudman, Midor, Sivakumar, Cooper Mole in the top 10. Jet Price in 11th. Carpita, Lehans, Cummins, along with Coyne are the rest of the running order in this field. Now keep in mind, there were 5 different penalties, Taylor, from the pre-final, hence why some of those names may sound a bit different, including 3 different incident responsibilities, 1 impeding, and an avoidable contact. So we're about to see things really heat up, potentially, after we've seen a bit of shuffle here.
We saw a little bit of slicing and dicing, a little bit of argy-bargy. Can we see it once again here in the final race of the weekend? It all comes down to this. Dragunov and company are looking to put on a show here in your 206 junior category. Get on your feet, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to go racing once again here at NOLA.
Here we go for the final time this weekend. We're going racing for a feature. Green flag is out. We're underway. Dragunov gets the jump as we have Carnage. Our biggest incident of the weekend sends 3 into the grass. And a poor launch for some. That features one of the moles, Cooper Mole, and several others at the back. But the front of the field already out of the back straightaway. Battles for 3rd.
Tyrone Kemper Jr. trying to work his way through into the middle of this pack inside the top 5. He drops back to 5th, trying to work his way around the driver of Richard Rosinski in the 4th spot. Meanwhile, Dragunov, Harder, and Leighton Mole have pulled away for your top 3, and Leighton Mole on an incredible run in 2nd place here. He's got the opening. Can he make it stick with the time to try and take home a checkered flag?
Remember, Leighton had the issues with the transponder in the pre-final. That's why things were shuffled the way they were in that sake. Now it's Leighton Mole up to the point. Holden Harder looks to try and get the small edge down to the back straight away. Watch for the lane choices here. It looks like for Mole, he realizes the inside's got the better run. Lets it do its own thing. Kemper Jr. Alonso's moving in a hardy cut from a shallow line across the curb. Off the track they go.
Holy cow, how about that pass right there? You saw the driver just send it in. That was Cataldo sending it about 4 cars deep and making it stick to 2nd place, but unfortunately moving Rosinski out of it here as he now tries to keep up with the competition.
So this pack still staying together somehow with bubblegum and glue. Still 10 minutes to work with Harder now in front. Kemper Jr. yet again in the conversation. And Kemper Jr. would love to get the sweep of his races on home turf. Gets the edge in front. Kemper Jr. to the point. The motivation definitely there for the New Orleans native.
Absolutely. This is his home track. This is the track that he always wants to go out there and win, showcasing his amazing driving when it comes to racing in junior categories. But don't forget it and hold off. Daniel Dragunov along with Leighton Mole, they are no ones to watch over and keep an eye on as well. They have some amazing talents they've been showcasing all weekend long, and Holden Harder also right there as Leighton Mole tries to get around. Dragunov moves up to 2nd place.
Leighton Mole looking very feisty compared to being very timid. Now, we'll see if there's a chance for another swap. This has been some of the more intense battling we've seen here this weekend. Looks like coordination is down. Look at that. Dragunov and Harder were going to try something there. Seems like some of these drivers are building those mini alliances to try and find something to work, try and get that bottom going. It's about finding friends right now in some of these cases, Taylor.
Yeah, but the thing was, I really didn't see the need in that at the moment, as now Harder gets to the inside. He'll get around Dragunov for third. It was a smart idea, but I think it was just not the right time. They were just already too close to not really get enough of a slingshot around both Kemper and Mole.
By the way, Rosinski is the first driver out of this pack that, especially since after that did not work out for the working together there, they've splintered off behind. Rosinski, remember, once those have been bounced around a fair bit this weekend, has been staying amongst the top 6 or so here this weekend. But Kemper Jr. keeping things tame and up front. So now, again, quite simply, for Harder, it's about trying to keep up what's been a stellar weekend. For reference, in the last race, when it came to the pre-final for this class, it came down to the point where, because the penalties ended up being Dragunov, Kemper Jr. originally had been in the conversation. Harder as well got pushed back with the penalties for 3 seconds for impeding. If without the impeding penalty, it was a drag race in of itself in the first place. So you're talking about this race going to potentially come down to inches yet again, just with the way this is trended here with how things are turning out amongst this top 3.
Looking through right now and keeping an eye, Tyrone Kemper Jr. is just settling in. He's trying to be the Pied Piper, letting drivers like Leighton Mole know, hey, work with me. We're going to start to pull away, keep everyone else behind, not battle each other. Try and just make sure we maintain this gap to where we saw in the 206 senior category, where everyone could not catch Cameron Reed and Henry Wheeler, and then settle it on the last lap.
So just about near halfway through the action for those tuning in. This is your final feature of the weekend for the Apex Karting Championships. It's an inaugural round of series history, and it's been fierce from start to finish throughout the weekend. Top 2 made it clear they want to run away and never look back. So for now, it becomes the mindset for everyone else. Where do they pick up the pieces? For reference, Rosinski on his margins on the gaps hasn't been closed up too much yet, but last time by, down to in the second pack, had closed up by a second with Max Hudman and Jet Price a part of their close-up. Those are some of the different margins that we have to keep an eye on here, as it looks like one of the drivers that may be Carpita that we just see that's off the side of the racetrack.
Yeah, I saw the yellow flag, the flashing yellow lights as they entered into the final corner with that, and saw a cart getting looped around. Tough break for Corpita as we keep an eye on the gaps between your top 4. There's that third group led by Rosinski, and they are trying to work together to make that final push here, as Rosinski, along with Hudman and Cataldo, trying everything they can to make that final push. They're 6 seconds back, and their pace is still quite a ways off from your race leaders.
Continue to work their way through. Patience level remaining high for a lot of these drivers compared to throughout much of the weekend. You have to say overall though, Taylor, it's been intense racing for the start of Apex when it comes to its history here. This is exactly why things were started, to be able to build that sense of community, to give drivers a platform to be able to race at the national level with these 206s and be able to build that family feel that's been so big throughout this weekend. We've seen all these teams really come together strongly throughout this entire weekend to put on some great racing.
We certainly have, and we've seen a lot of great heads-up racing between competitors, not just runaways. It has been close fighting action throughout the entire field. You just have to stand out there on the track today or watch our broadcast, and we will find a battle for you that is a storyline to talk about, a driver who is trying something new and testing the limits of trying to see if they can make it in this championship, and they are showcasing it here today as we watch the battle with Cataldo, Rosinski, and Hudman.
Taking a bit of a pass there in the midst of that point. With the 837 of Hudman still looks to push. See them going to shuffle a bit on the hands. Believe that was more Just a quick adjustment to the wrist. For reference, this pack that's all grouped together in the 51.5s, they are not quicker than the leaders. Dragunov, for reference, has also gone adrift. Harder's gone adrift into the 51.3s and 4s. So that seems to be the case where if you've nailed the setup for the balance, get these big separations today, where Kemper Jr. and Mull have limited the variables. One of my favorite phrases throughout 2024 and 2025 has been, it's like a chess match. You limit the amount of potential moves your opponent can make, you end up with this up at the front. You end up where it's a 2-car breakaway, and it's between you for the top step of the podium, and everybody else is left picking up the scraps further on behind, and that is a smart play from Leighton Mull this entire race from a smart driver.
He certainly has. He knows following someone like Tyrone Kemper Jr., working with him, not pushing the envelope, knowing I am now in contention to win this race if I continue working with him, not being aggressive, being patient. That's one of the things I love about kart racing is you can be a mix of both. A patient driver who stays with the ones you know are going to take you up to the front, and then that aggression you can bring out a little later on when it's time to go to the top step of the podium. We're watching also Dragunov and Harder as Dragunov looks to the inside. He has an opening. He's going to try and take it. Daniel Dragunov moves up to P3.
Likes to take the run after their separation for a little bit. Dragunov looks to get to where he can try and close back up possibly here. One of the drivers we've seen picked up past month here, as mentioned here, had some wins over in Grand Nationals 8 in particular that drew that attention to his team before going to pick up with that team the following time in Daytona. Since then, it's been really solid for them on their platform all season long whenever we've seen them with the new gen organization as part of this family. And Dragunov, now with that swap, by the way, did go up to the 50.6s. That swap just made them even up with the race leaders. That's how fast the 851 is as the lead car.
Now the question is, can he keep up that run here? They got quite a bit of work to do. I don't think they're going to be able to catch Mull and Kemper, but they'll at least be able to make some progress, maybe learn a thing or two to get themselves ready for the next race at the end of January.
So 3 laps to go, maybe 4. It's going to be tight on the time. Believe it was a couple seconds difference to being a 3 to go mark. Kemper Jr. and Mull still in front. Dragunov, for reference, he went in the 2s. If they were that direction, the way they are now, we might be talking about them gaining up by the end, but they are, it's going to require being perfect. And Kemper Jr. and Mull to close up here. That was a rapid time for the both of them after that swap. Look at how efficient the bump is too. Just a little bit of a push to the number plate. Not too much, just trying to stay tucked up behind while they try and duck down for Arrow.
Yeah, he's doing a great job holding Harder, realizing the situation, trying to work with him, pushing Dragunov at those certain points, not really just sending it in the corner, but just being balanced with his run. Beautiful inputs on the wheel as they come across the line. Kemper and Mull respond that time by with some good pace, but really it's too little too late. 3 laps to go for your drivers, so they have a chance, but they got to have a little bit more in their favor.
Now remember, Kemper Jr. has led for about a good more than a third of this race now. The tough thing's going to be holding on in that battle. Dragunov eventually is going to have Harder trying to battle as well. Rosinski, who was up front before, just got a black flag. It's a part of 4 drivers that have picked them up. The others who have picked them up in this race had various incidents for their own sake to get them. So that's unfortunate for the 807, who was in the lead of Pack 2 at one point, but not anymore. With 2 laps to go, Rain-a-Dane-Dane, it's time to start battling pretty soon for these podium spots. In particular, your race lead, Mull, waiting for, it looks like, 1 more lap before he does the move.
Yeah, Leighton Mull saw that he still has a little bit of time. He could see the drivers closing a little bit. He is going to be patient. Wait till that final lap. A smart and move right there by Leighton Mole. He wants to be absolutely sure when he starts battling with Tyrone Kemper Jr., no one comes near these two and makes it a two-horse race through the corners to take the white flag one more time here at NOLA.
Coming up to the white flag, where does Leighton try it? He stayed the same distance just about the entire time. Already defensive Kemper Jr. to the middle. Mole takes a slightly higher line. And no wiggles though. Stays tucked up. Here comes Kemper Jr. on the slight blend. Now Mole gives a signal saying, I'm going to stay behind you. How long does that work though? Look for a crossover attempt. Tried the ankle. Kemper Jr. maintained speed. They work their way to the S for the final time. Mole will have to be aggressive. Kemper Jr. already blocking, trying to hold the momentum. Contact already. Mole tries to get the diamond, set things up for the dog leg. Kemper Jr. looks over one shoulder. Mole goes from the outside, trying to go for the up and under. Blocked off by Kemper Jr. Tyrone Kemper Jr. He gets himself another W. He wins it on home soil. Tyrone Kemper Jr. wins in junior.
Incredible drive there by Tyrone Kemper Jr. to pick up both wins in both the 206 and KA Junior category. Dragging off a great run for him as well with a podium finish. Holden Harder wondering what happened. Leighton Mole, pretty sure he's picked up a couple of lessons to know what he could try and do the next time him and Tyrone Kemper Jr. do battle next time out at Jacksonville.
It's a sweep of the day for Kemper Jr. He wins by near 0.2 of a second. Dragging off in third. Harder ends up being in fourth. Hudman, Cataldo, along with Price, Sivakumar, Midor, and Lehans in the top 10. Lehans the first to not finish. Rositsky, Clements, Coyne, Carpita, and Cooper Mole for the rest of the field. Your final thoughts here on this weekend, Taylor, is in the end, an incredible start to the history of Apex Karting Championships. Points added to the tallies, and these drivers get to celebrate their trophy soon.
I mean, what a great championship we are about to see blossom here today and throughout the rest of 2026. I mean, you're talking about some iconic tracks, some of the best well-known karts that we will see do battle, some of the biggest teams, as well as some of those who are just the mom and pop teams, those who are just father and son coming out here to race and see what they have, what it takes to race with some of the biggest names in grassroots karting. This is a championship to be, and the entire Apex organization has done an amazing job. I look forward to calling the rest of the South Division here in 2026. Looking forward to coming back here and doing it all again at Jacksonville.
It's going to be fun to see this the whole entire season. But on that note, we are done here from the commentary side. But for those watching here on Kart Chaser, stick around. Podium celebrations will be coming up in just a bit. Be sure to stay tuned. The podium and all the trophies coming up here on Kart Chaser.
Normally we have a PA down here for this. Little miscommunication. So it's cold. We'll try and get through this really quick. First off, thanks everybody for coming. My name is Joe Janowski, so I own this. Cars. I appreciate everybody being here. We start something new, you have no idea what's going to happen with it. So thanks all of you for being here. I'm sure all of you guys are happy because you're going to get some hardware here in a second. Appreciate it, man. you go. Appreciate it, Graham. Thank you. Pop her off here to the side. Okay, P1, Shane Burkett. There you go, Shane. Congratulations. That's good. All right, let's do KA Junior in third place. Cameron Johnson. Here, Cameron. All right, well, we gave a good clap anyway. P2, Parker Ives. Where's Parker? Good job, bro. There you go. Good job, dude. In P1, local hero, Tyrone Kemper Jr. Congratulations. Good job, Parker. Hold it up, guys. Hold it up. There you go.
Thanks.
Hayden, this probably bigger than you.
Oh, something down. Okay, everybody, KA Senior. I'm going to screw this up. P3, Sawyer Rousel. Did I get it right, Sawyer?
Team Felon right there.
P2, James Overbeck. James still here? Yep. P1, Daniel Perez.
Daniel, there you go, buddy.
Damn, congratulations, man. Yeah, bro. Yeah, dude. Also, if I could have, when we're done, if I could have all the winners stick around, I want to do one picture with all the inaugural Apex winners. Right? Briggs Masters! Class I should be running in. P3, Troy Tony, all the way from Indiana. P2, Brad Davis. Here, Brad. Brad Davis. There's Brad. From the crew team. In P1, Eric Fagan. Eric's still here? He's somewhere over there. He's in his truck? They're going to get him. Give him a second. They're going to find him. I thought I left his goal behind.
He's over there ready to roll.
Yeah, he's ready to roll.
He's ready to go.
All with the ground. Okay.
Not there.
Bruce Micro, you're up. All right, let's get the Masters back up here with Fagan. Hey, Masters, come back up. Masters, come back up, please. Hey, Troy.
All right. That's what I wanted to see.
There we go. That's good to see. Maddox Eves. Woo! Did I get that? Good job, Maddox. Good job, Maddox. Second place, Nicholas McCarthy. Let's go! Yes, nice job, dude. P1, Spencer Height.
Buddy, yeah, bring it up. Good job, guys. Good job, guys.
All right, Bricks Mini. Third place, Liam Ford. Liam here. In second, Ruben Greer. Ruben, well done. Top of the step, Bo Stowers. Hold it high! All right, Briggs Jr. E3, Holden Harder. Holden, no hold. P2, Leighton Mole. Look who's back, Tyrone Kemper Jr. Congratulations, sir. Get him up! Oh yeah!
Hey, just so you guys know, you guys are still in the protest window, so that's unofficial as of right now. It's a penalty that affects the vote. Stay focused. You can keep them.
I didn't even do nothing, I'm pretty sure.
Briggs Sr. Third place, Peyton McDonough. Nice rebound, bro. Thank you.
Started off the weekend a real local nobody.
Second place, Cameron Reed.
Dude, it was last second. I had to go get my
First place, Henry Wheeler.
Good job, man.
Okay, all first place, back up here with your with the hardware. All first place, back up with the hardware. Pop up there, we'll get as many as we can. Up there.
Try to center in the podium, guys.
Yeah, guys, kind of center in for us.
Everyone come this way, a couple steps. Keep coming,
There you go.
stop.
All right, back row, get him up. Front row, you guys stay down. There you go. Good, Rachel. Anybody else want a picture? Yay! right, thanks everybody, appreciate it. See you guys for round 2, Jacksonville.
Thank you guys. It's cold over there, right?
This broadcast is the sole property of Kart Chaser Group, LLC. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of the images, audio, or accounts of this event, in whole or in part, without the express written consent of Kart Chaser Group, LLC is strictly prohibited. Thanks for watching.